This meeting will now come to order. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Carlin.
Here.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt.
Here.
Councilmember Patena.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Council Liaison Greathouse.
Here.
And Council Liaison Ravindran.
Here.
Thank you and good evening. Welcome to the Peoria City Council special study session of November 12th, 2019. We have two items on our study session agenda this evening, and we will begin with the Peoria transportation update. And I'll turn it over to City Manager Jeff Tyne to kick it off.
Great, thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today about what certainly is one of our most important functions that we have here at the city, and that is ensuring the development and monitoring of our transportation systems to both our residents and our businesses. And over the next year, we anticipate having a number of important discussions with all of you with regard to transportation. Of course, the normal inevitable discussions we have at budget time and the trade-offs that we have to make with regard to our capital planning, but also about important investments in the different modes that we have of transportation, and especially in the discussions that we're going to have with regard to the regional transportation systems and a consideration of a continuation of an extension of our regional county tax on transportation. So to help us navigate through all of that, we do have a team here, and I'm going to pass this over to our Deputy City Manager, Eric Strunk, to begin.
Thank you, Mr. Tyne. Thank you, Mayor and Council. You may recall that in June of this year, we had the opportunity to provide you with a few insights on trends in different modes of transit and transportation that are kind of being innovated and implemented throughout the world and the country and in Arizona. That's essential, as you know, to our integrated transportation livability initiative that we're doing. At the session, you may recall that we talked about concepts such as first and last mile, driverless vehicles, ridership concepts, and so on. At the time, we referred to these as disruptive changes, and we will still do that throughout the whole course of this conversation. And this is very much an ongoing conversation with you and the staff. As part of our ongoing effort to keep you up to speed and informed, and to check in and seek your policy guidance, quite frankly, on a number of issues that'll be before you, we're here before you this evening to talk about one very important component of transportation and transit, not only to Peoria, but also on a regional basis. And I'm referring to what we call Proposition 400. And tonight, the intent of the session tonight is to provide you with a very broad overview of what that proposition is, some of the history from a resident historian here, and share with you kind of the next steps in that. The important thing to remember is, in addition to Peoria, there are a number of other cities throughout the county that are having similar conversations, and there will be a big push by what we call the Maricopa Association of Governments as we speak, and more so in the next year, to kind of consolidate projects for each jurisdiction, and then kind of go through that process of conversation, deliberation, and in theory, to kind of create an overall plan that could then potentially be proposed to the state legislature. Before I get too involved with the details on that, Thomas is here to kind of speak to you and give you a very important insight as to how that whole process works. We want you to ask questions. We're not going to be asking for any true policy direction tonight. This is the first in a series of conversations that we want to have with you. So tonight we'll talk about Prop 400, kind of regional funding elements. Hopefully in early spring next year, February, late January, Adina, Ms. Lund will be before you to speak about transportation infrastructure. And then we'll have Mr. Burke, Kevin Burke, our Public Works Director, in front of you to talk about the transit portion of what we call Peoria's transportation plan in general. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas and have him kind of go through the slides here.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Strunk. Mayor and Council, it's my honor to be here tonight to talk about this important topic. Mr. Strunk has provided us some good context for this discussion and some other discussions that we're going to be having as a council and staff. So as you might recall, earlier this year, there was a great presentation on the future of mobility that Kevin Burke provided. One of the key themes that he presented was summed up in what he termed the Burke postulate, which you might recall is this notion that as their technology advances, the number of disruptions, are going to continue to increase, and all of those disruptions and challenges and changes to transportation are going to make it much more difficult to accurately plan and prepare for the future. This is a recurring theme that's going to be, you're going to see throughout all of these presentations that you receive. What we are going to try to do is collectively help the mayor and council prepare for the future so that you are informed and have the foundational knowledge that you'll need to keep Peoria on the right path. So as Eric said, tonight we're really going to focus on regional transportation and transit funding. Our focus specifically is going to be on the county-wide transportation sales tax known as Proposition 400. We're going to talk about some of the key players, and we're also going to just touch on some of the history and the context for where this came from. Part of that context and history is sort of highlighted in this quote, which I think is very important. It's from a former league executive director, a man that's called the father of the Phoenix freeway system. And it summed up, the gist of his quote is essentially this, that city leaders decades ago successfully negotiated this tax to be locally controlled and also focused on construction, not maintenance. So we're going to talk about why Prop 400 and its predecessor have been so important to Peoria and the region. And then finally, we're going to talk about some next steps that are happening in the city and externally in the region. Our primary goal tonight is to help you understand the importance and the public understand the importance of Proposition 400, which will have generated nearly $9 billion for the region before it expires at the end of 2025. This is a foundational policy issue upon which your decisions are going to be crucial to Peoria's future and the region's future. This is why I subtitled this presentation, An Opportunity to Vision the Future. So as a quick aside, I want to clarify two terms that we're going to hear a lot tonight, and that's transportation and transit. Generally, transportation is kind of an all-encompassing term, and that includes everything that we think of, like in this picture, freeways and streets, but it also really does include things like buses, bikes, scooters, and even pedestrian infrastructure. When we talk about transit, we are really going to be more narrowly speaking about mass public transit, such as buses, light rail, and now even ride sharing. Also, throughout this presentation, I'm going to try to pause for questions and touch-ins to make sure that you guys are comfortable with where we're at. So any questions before we proceed? Seeing none?
I have a question. Are we also going to be including circulators in the transit conversation?
Great question, Mayor. So as we have the larger discussion about transit-specific study session later on, yes, circulators are going to be a part of that discussion.
Thank you.
Before we dive into Prop 400, I want to talk about two of the most important agencies and key players in the discussion, and that is MAG and Valley Metro. The Maricopa Association of Governments, or MAG as it's more commonly known, is the officially designated Metropolitan Transportation Planning Organization. What that means is they are officially designated both by federal law and the governor's office to be in charge of the metropolitan transportation planning for the Phoenix metro area. MAG is comprised of several committees, two of which play extremely important roles in developing the region's version of a capital improvement program, or CIP. That regional version of a CIP is known as the Regional Transportation Plan. That plan designates how all of the revenue that's generated from Prop 400 is spent. Valley Metro is the Regional Public Transportation Authority. Up until they rebranded as Valley Metro, they were known as RPTA. They are charged, and their governing body is tasked with developing its version of a CIP, which is known as the Transit Life Cycle Program. That program designates how the region's Prop 400 dollars are spent on transit. So in short, when we talk about MAG, we're talking about transportation, specifically sort of roads and freeways. When we talk about Valley Metro, we're talking about mass transit, specifically bus and light rail. So one last stop before we get to Prop 400. Eric mentioned that I am a history major and quite proud of looking back. And I always think it's really important to take a look back at where we come from so we better understand both where we are and where we're headed. So when it comes to Prop 300, or the past of Prop 400, we need to take a step back in time to the era of neon fashion and punk music. Like me, the regional half-cent transportation sales tax has its roots in the 1980s, a time when Peoria's population was growing from 12,000 to 50,000. That is significant growth. Also occurring in the region at the time was a severe lack of freeway infrastructure. This had been brewing for actually a couple of decades. So eventually, in 1985, the Maricopa County voters approved a countywide 20-year half-cent transportation sales tax known as Prop 300. Prop 300 was used exclusively to fund a massive freeway building initiative. This was a regional tax for regional projects. This map kind of shows the guiding posts that they used to divvy up those dollars. I know it's a little hard to see, but in a general sense, the black dotted lines on this map were freeways that were adopted and built under Prop 300. You'll notice that almost all of those freeways are in the East Valley, with the exception of the Agua Fria portion of the Loop 101. One other key point in Prop 300 is that, as I mentioned earlier, city leaders had successfully negotiated with the business community and other stakeholders so that the revenues from the new tax would fund only construction of the freeway system and not maintenance. That would be the responsibility of the state. One other quick historical aside, in 1994, there was an attempt to increase the amount of tax from Prop 300 to a full cent, and also use a portion of that revenue to fund transit. The voters in Maricopa County in 1994 voted down that increase. So now we're going to fast forward to the year 2004, and as Prop 300 was set to expire at the end of 2005, Maricopa County residents voted to extend the half-cent transportation sales tax for another 20 years, and they did so under Proposition 400. This is the current regional tax that we have right now, and it is used to fund projects throughout the valley and will continue to do so until it expires at the end of 2025. We are going to review more specifically what some of those projects were at a later study session, although I'll highlight a couple tonight. One key difference with Prop 400 over Prop 300 is that the use of the tax was expanded to fund things beyond just freeways. New modes of transportation were included to fund things like transit and also a new arterial program that would help local communities with their arterial streets. However, by shifting to funding new modes of transportation, some legislators were concerned that there would be unequal or, in their minds, an improper use of the funds for different modes, whereas they would prefer, say, freeway construction. They were worried that money would be siphoned away to fund transit programs. So these legislators established statutory firewalls that prohibited the commingling of funds. So we're talking about it here, but those dollars would be restricted on how they could be used. So the result of all that political arm wrestling in 2004 is the distribution model that we currently have. And it funds three distinct buckets or modal programs: the freeway program, the transit program, and the arterial program. As this slide sort of highlights, 56.2% of all the sales tax dollars goes to the freeway program, a third goes to the transit program, and the remaining 10.5% goes to the arterial program. Any questions at this point? Okie dokie. So the freeway program is, these are all sort of self-explanatory, but I'll highlight them anyway. The freeway program obviously funds the freeway construction, and this could include also adding additional lanes to existing freeways as well as creating totally new freeways. The ongoing Loop 303 expansion from Happy Valley Road up to Lake Pleasant Parkway is an example of a Peoria project that is using the freeway program dollars. The transit program, as you might imagine, funds public transit. This includes light rail construction, not maintenance and operation, and it also funds bus routes as well. Our 83rd Avenue bus route is currently scheduled to transition to regional funding through the transit program in 2022. Lastly, the arterial program is used to fund arterial street projects, such as the intersection improvement that we recently did at 75th Avenue and Thunderbird Road. As a quick reminder, obviously our city streets are divided into three general categories: arterials, collectors, and our minor or neighborhood streets. And the arterial program obviously just focuses on those major arterial roads. All told, since the creation of Prop 400, Peoria has received more than $100 million that we've used to fund projects within our city. This is obviously a very important revenue and has been used to great service to our residents. Actually, real quick, I want to highlight, when we talk about these three programs, it's really important to emphasize that these are the guiding documents that lay out when and where new projects are established throughout the entire region. There is a significant amount of technical work that occurs within our own city departments, but also within the bowels of MAG and Valley Metro to produce recommendations that go into creating these documents. However, these documents are ultimately voted upon by the governing bodies of MAG and Valley Metro. And of course, those governing bodies are made up of representatives from the city agencies that make them up. So in other words, there is a fair amount of negotiating that takes place behind the scenes. And Peoria has historically been pretty effective at making sure that our interests are represented and advanced for the benefit of our residents and taxpayers. Any questions right now?
Councilmember Dunn is on the phone. Councilmember Dunn, if you have any questions, feel free to interject.
Thank you. I will.
Okay.
So here's the busiest slide of this presentation, and I apologize for all those moving parts. But what I really wanted to convey is a bit of the organizational structure of MAG and Valley Metro. As you can see, they both are made up or have a very robust committee system. Those committees are instrumental in producing those guiding documents that determine how the Prop 400 dollars are spent. Peoria's representatives in these organizations have the difficult task of balancing the competing priorities of regional and local needs. It is a difficult task. At this point, we really do want to thank Mayor Carlott, Vice Mayor Bensbacher, and Councilmember Edwards for their strong leadership at the regional level representing our residents. Without their strong voice, Peoria would not have some of those key projects that I just mentioned, and that is not an exaggeration. It's also important to recognize the role of staff in this process. At all levels through these organizational charts, Peoria is represented by our management and technical staff. These staff members are instrumental in helping to create the draft recommendations that lead to project funding. I also want to mention that Peoria's leadership roles also extend to more informal settings. For example, in the past year, City Manager Jeff Tyne has been instrumental in leading informal, project-oriented strategic conversations with our fellow West Valley mayors and managers. This has helped prepare and position the West Valley for the more formal discussions that happen at MAG and Valley Metro. So, enough with the history lesson. Why does any of this matter now? Well, it matters because as we approach the sunset of Prop 400, discussions and planning for the future of this revenue source have already started. Our job as staff is to help prepare you, the mayor and council, for the potential of either an extension or sunset of this important revenue source. Listed here are just a few of the major policy questions that we're facing. As future study sessions will cover, staff will be making recommendations and seeking direction on a myriad of questions. But one such question, obviously, is should Prop 400 even be extended? Staff is also going to seek direction on modal priorities. It's going to be very important for us as staff members and you as electeds to understand what are the transit priorities for the city and what are those transit priorities that they see in the region and how do they play out. The list of major questions facing us goes on and on. The good news is that we're not seeking answers to these questions this evening, but rather our goal in the coming months is to put strategies together, led by our subject matter experts, that will help you make informed decisions that will help keep Peoria headed in the right direction. And because no issue is ever that clean, there are some complicating factors that we need to keep in mind. As Peoria staff work with mayor and council to help identify our priorities, other MAG member cities are doing the same thing. This slide illustrates some of the key stakeholders in this process. Some of these are official decision makers, and some of these are unofficial decision influencers. MAG and Valley Metro committees will weigh in on several of these policy questions, and their decisions will impact how the projects submitted by Peoria and other communities are measured. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors plays a very critical role in both the plan development, but also in ultimately calling for an election. But before they can even do that, The legislature and the governor have to come together and agree on enabling legislation that would give the county permission just to ask the voters whether they want to extend or change the tax. And of course, lastly, and most importantly, the voters of Maricopa County will have the final say on this important matter. And of course, all these decision makers can and will be influenced by non-voting stakeholders and events, and the stakeholders who will have a vested interest in the outcome of these decisions. And of course, none of this is happening in a vacuum. Unexpected changes in economic conditions or political events can and will impact the process, all the way from plan development to an e-campaign for a ballot proposition. In my mind, the future of Prop 400 is sort of the personification of that Burke postulate that I mentioned earlier. This is an issue that is subject to change at any moment, that faces a myriad of known and unknown factors that are going to impact how we move forward. So with that, any questions before I proceed?
No questions.
All right. So all that said, here are some of the key dates to kind of keep in mind as we continue to prepare Mayor and Council for the future of Prop 400. The bottom line is this, that if we're going to make sure that there's no interruption to this vital revenue stream, the voters of Maricopa County must approve an extension no later than November of 2024. MAG planners are currently targeting the 2022 ballot with the 2024 ballot as a fallback contingency. By targeting the 2022 ballot, that means that legislative approval has to happen in the legislative session of the same year. Again, to build in some leeway, MAG planners are looking at moving legislation in the 2021 session. So lastly, again, before the legislature acts, the region needs to coalesce around its priorities and projects. How MAG and Valley Metro accomplish this unification is being discussed right now. In summary, the time for Peoria to prepare is now. So how exactly will we prepare? Well, the good news is that the preparation has already begun. Kevin Burke's future mobility presentation was a solid visionary start that outlined several paradigms within which we will need to make and plan and make lasting decisions. Tonight, right now, as I speak, we're providing the context for the regional transportation sales tax known as Prop 400. This will continue to have a major impact on our community for generations to come. After the new year, you can expect separate in-depth study sessions on transportation infrastructure and transit choices. These sessions will attempt to answer some of those major policy questions that I mentioned earlier tonight. As a quick note, these presentations will help but not replace the robust CIP development process that occurs in late spring as part of our regular budget development process. Additionally, you can expect to have regular touch-ins by staff, both in person and via legislative emails that we send out during session. We're going to expand the scope of that to start capturing some of the regional and statewide conversations that are happening on this topic. So clearly there's much to be done, but we feel that we're up to the task. We look forward to helping you provide that, giving you that foundational knowledge that you're going to need to make these informed decisions. And aside from these, any additional questions or comments you might have, we're open to your input at this point. And we thank you again for this opportunity to talk about this topic.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Well, I think that it's very important that you were wearing the bow tie and channeling Kevin Burke as you made this presentation so that we have like two of you for the price of one here.
He is a guru.
Very important. And thank you for bringing this information to us. The history was great, and it's really important for our citizens to understand things that we've been sort of working with for, the better part of a year now at the very least. And it's time for the citizens to understand. We have the transportation system that we have because of Prop 400 and Prop 300 before it. This is a very, very important source of funding and something that if we decide to stop, then we will, of course, decide to stop the transportation program and this transportation growth that we have in Maricopa County. And that would be very detrimental to everyone trying to get from point A to point B on any given day. So that being said, I think that it's really wonderful that we're speaking about this in public and that we will be continuing to do so as time goes on. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will move on to our second study session agenda item, and that is update on signature special event.
Great.
Mr. Tyne.
Thank you, and thank you all. appreciate all of your assistance on that. We have an amazing team to help us with
Yeah.
of subject matter experts to help on that real complex topic. But thank you in advance for all the work that we're going to be putting you through to help us with that. So as we know, we as a city are proud of our special events programs, and we have an incredibly robust program here in the city of Peoria, and for good reason. A number of reasons that we undertake these special events. Just a reminder, the council in the last budget year did put together a place mark for something a little different, a signature special event that really offers something a little different, something that really offers an amazing experience to Peoria residents and for residents of the entire region. Another event that puts us on the map with out-of-state residents as well to see that. And then lastly, something that helps to promote our economic development goals and our tourism goals as well. And so in doing so, our staff has reached out to the experts in the industry to really get a sense of what really would denote a special event of this magnitude. In addition to that, it's also something, I apologize for the noise. In addition, it's really attempting to make sure that we know what does the industry have right now, who are the promoters that provide this type of service. And sure enough, they have, through their work, found an amazing promoter that does take on such events as this. However, given the seasonality of events that are in Arizona, we have some time sensitivity to something that we're going to be bringing forward to you. So we have the opportunity to consider a very new and interesting and exciting addition to our special events program. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our Deputy City Manager, Eric Strunk, to make introductions and tee this up.
Great, thank you again, Mr. Tyne. Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Yes, shifting gears from transit and transportation to special events and signature event we have before you. As with the previous item, just a real quick piece of history here. It was about a year ago, it was November 16th of last year. I went back and looked at the old council notes. We had a kind of a deep dive conversation with you on special events. And it was a great opportunity for us to kind of talk about the program and really look at a few key categories that we plan our events around. And I was looking at those, and we had a few. One was accessible and affordable events. The other was educational and cultural. The other was those that kind of relate to placemaking. What are we doing in that area? And then we had something we call neighborhood-centric events, kind of the park fests and the real localized special events. One of the things we proposed and kind of threw out was one that pertains to tourism and workforce attraction. It was kind of we had our slide of what we had been doing, then we had a second slide saying, hey, here's where we'd like to go. And there was a warm response to that, and subsequent to that, through the budget process, as Jeff mentioned, there was funding appropriated to create and establish and plan and pull off a signature event. Significant investment. There was a $200,000 placeholder put in for that specific event. The purpose of our discussion tonight is we do want to make some recommendations to you on what we've kind of heard from a consultant we engaged. You gave us a little bit of money to do that. We brought in someone from the outside to take a good look at Peoria. That entity did just that. They identify venues that we could potentially have a signature event at, and they also shared with us some concepts that might be appropriate for Peoria. We got the results of that. One of the most important pieces of that, as Jeff alluded to, was kind of a Rolodex to national and regional promoters. And this is where I'm going to kind of wind up my part of the conversation and segue to Chris. We learned a heck of a lot in contacting those event promoters. We learned a heck of a lot about how we need to move the needle in Peoria with respect to a signature event and how it ties into, as Jeff said, a little bit of economic development from a tourism perspective, a visitation perspective, the identity, the branding. And we think we've assembled, by working with the consultant and the promoter, a really unique, distinct event that will help Peoria shine. We're going to tell you that story tonight. And to my right, to your left, Chris Hallett, our Neighborhood and Human Services Director, Kelly Kincaid, the Deputy Director for the same department, and then our very own Mary Lou Stevens, Arts and Cultural Events Manager. So we're all going to have a piece in the conversation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Eric. As Eric and Jeff mentioned, we've been working on this for quite some time, and with last November's workshop, we've been working hard to put into play those things that you had asked for even prior to that. So again, what is the signature event we want to bring to Peoria, put it on the map, make an economic impact, increase our visibility, tourism, and prosperity. And to do that, we went ahead and exercised an RFP for that consultant, and we hired Stone Rooney Entertainment and Sports. And they came out and they did their site visit. They, as Eric mentioned, they toured several different of our venues. They checked all of our venues. They looked at Old Town, P83, the sports complex, the future of Paloma Park, any of our right-of-way that we could ultimately close and do, and certainly Lake Pleasant. They also looked at what kind of options could be done at any one of these venues. So certainly came to the top, a music festival, which is very common. Arts, culture, and culinary, a bike fest, which those times of years is really nice here in Arizona. And again, with regard to the lake, a boat regatta. They did a full analysis of the regional and national level of what would be a draw here. They provided a lot of demographic analysis in the report. They really highlighted a lot of things that we could use, what would draw. So certainly we have an international airport in our midst in the valley, and then we're within 350 miles of Vegas, San Diego, LA, some major metropolises that would be a drivable distance to for a signature event, which people would drive for or fly into. So with all that being said, they came out, did a site analysis, and wanted to see what did Peoria have to offer, what made it unique and special. Again, we got that concluded in May. We have their recommendations. It did include some promoters, and of course we had already the foresight to put in the budget for this year the $200,000 seed money for whatever that signature event might be. So what did we learn? Well, as we mentioned before, they provided us 10 regional and national promoters that we could touch base with in addition to the analysis that they provided. And we reached out and talked to all of these promoters. Kelly and I did interviews extensively with each of these. And you know, the vast majority of them said, yeah, we can do an event for you. We can do a music event. And going back to what we heard back last November is like, when it comes to a signature event, we want something uniquely Peoria, hopefully, that's not necessarily being done anywhere else or in proximity. And so one of the promoters on this page really caught our attention, whereas most of them were kind of, they could do anything, just let us know. One of them was actually told us what's the changing in the industry and what they're seeing and how they actually wouldn't be interested just given the dynamics they've seen. But Blank Page, they're the ones who are super excited and creative. In fact, they label themselves as event creators. They pride themselves in creating unique experiences that complement and highlight what the area has to offer. And each of the ones that they've done and shown us really does that for the areas. And they're primarily out of the Pennsylvania and Florida areas. Recently have done work up in Seattle, Washington, and they're super excited to be able to do work here in Arizona. What we learned from all these is, from when it comes to a signature event, pretty much they all said you're going to need a good $250,000 to $500,000 to even consider looking into doing a signature event. So it's very expensive, can be very scary, but they said, and it will take 3 to 5 years to be able to recover that money. But it's a proven track record. They've done it time and time again, and they have had high success with high numbers of increase of growth of attendance and revenue year over year. And so we certainly would look to recover any available revenues that we could, starting with year one and looking to grow those year over year along with the attendance. But to put it in perspective, because we know it's a big ask, some of the major events we already do, Somos in particular, cost us $180,000. And with this last year, we've seen year over year over the last 6 years that has been called Somos of incremental increase in revenues. We've had all-time revenues this last year. Very successful event in both attendance and revenue. And our next largest event that's similar would be the All-American, which costs about $150,000. You know, it has music components, fireworks, and some of the things that we'll be talking about here. So we already invest a lot for more of those neighborhood-centric and those accessible and affordable events for our residents here. But this one was more of a tourism and workforce development, getting us on the map, let people know what Peoria has to offer, and it's a great place to live, work, and play. So in that vein, we also feedback we learned, not just from the original consultant and from the interviews we did with the promoters. We also reached out to some millennials to see what they like and it would consider for them to pique their interest to go out to a lake. Again, one of the biggest things we hear about the lake is, I don't have a boat, why would I go to a lake? Well, we're going to attune to most, if not all of these things on here that people are looking for in today's event market. And what will attract people to drive 350 miles or get on a plane and fly there. So what we landed on, as we said, a blank page was the promoter of choice who really excited us about event creation. Once they came out and did a site visit in early or late October, they were able to solidify their event concept. And what you see here is basically they have envisioned a fire and water event as a theme. And they were lured right to the lake. That was the one asset this Peoria had that really set us apart from anybody else in the valley. It's the only accessible lake that we can get to host any kind of event. It has a great event structure right on the side of it. We've done many of them already with the Lake Pleasant. So what they've envisioned is a fire and water theme where they'd have choreographed fireworks and dancing fire on the water, perhaps a bonfire. The marquee event would be a Formula 2 powerboat regatta. Now this blank page has a 30-year working history with the American Powerboat Association. They've done powerboat regattas. The Formula 2 are the fastest inland boats that you can have. They're probably about the size of this table. High horsepower outboard motors that go upwards of 125 miles an hour. Very fast, very exciting, very loud. This would be on an oval track in a cove there at the lake. They would turn, on the turns, they would be upwards of 4 to 7 Gs for the pilot inside that, turning these corners. So it's a very exciting thing that they've done at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, and they've also done in Braden, and we'll see some video of this in a little bit, in Florida, where they get upwards of 100,000 participants on a bridge watching this in Florida, and over the course of a multi-day weekend in Pittsburgh, upwards of 750,000. Now, those are big, lofty, long-term goals. Again, they've been doing those things for years. Go back to the principle, 3 to 5 years to really build an established one that's going to support itself. They also would supplement it with some night and day illuminated jet ski and flyboarding, which we'll show you some pictures and video of. And then that experiential aspect with a very diverse set of arts and culinary experiences. In particular, glass blowing village, where they have an inroads to Chihuly artisans or Corning, as well as a watercolor artist village, and that would work in theme with the glass blowing. And they assured us that they would have an art component that could be developed at the event that would be left on site for the city to do with what they want, whether we took it and placed it somewhere else. So a glass blown piece of art, that's a really picturesque thing of it, in addition to, there'll be plenty of interactive opportunities across these villages for people to experience and witness live demonstrations and artistry. Now, these are all just words on a page, and we all know pictures are worth 1,000 words. So here's a collage of the event components that we would hope to see through this contract with this event promoter. You have your power boats. On the bottom left is a jet ski aerial night lit display, and the bottom right, second one is what they call flyboarding, and we'll have a video of that in just a second. Again, the glass blowing is going to work themology with the watercolor and event style. Huge culinary on the main festival area, culminated with choreographed to music, fireworks, and other fire and water displays that they have assured us. So, where a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video's got to be worth a whole lot more than that. So, if we could move over to our video, and we'll give a demonstration of one of their events that they have done in the Florida area.
People from all over the country come in the race here in Bradenton.
front flip one-handed.
And there's your leader, the number 2 of Lee Daniels.
Now, as we cue back up our presentation, that's an event that's been going on for a number of years, and that's what this could grow to be. So there were certain elements that they proposed initially that we're going to have, but obviously you saw there was a lot of festival components within that that aren't necessarily envisioned for this, at least on the onset of this event. But you can see where you can grow the event and have a more of a festival, interactive atmosphere as time grows. And that's certainly what we'd aspire to do. So how would we be able to do this? Well, that's going to take a partnership with the promoter. As we mentioned, we really like this event creator who came up with this theme, Sager Incorporated. Again, they've had a 30-year relationship with APBA. They've done this in 2 other locations and very successfully. We vetted them completely. This obviously would be a direct select because we are in a fairly short time frame. We originally went into this thinking, April of this year. That was our onset when we got the contract with the consultants head in and when we started looking at who we might be able to work with. And in order to meet that deadline, that's why we're before you today and this evening. So they're also the ones who did the Taste of NFL, so they really do come up with unique experiences. If you saw their resume, you would be impressed with the things they've done with the different venues and the themes that they've been asked to produce things for. Certainly we can't do it alone with them, although the contract alone is amped to bring all those entertainment aspects to the event, but we need partnership with the lake. Pleasant Harbor, while they were in town, we met with all the key stakeholders and everybody gave us, it's doable, thumbs up, we can make it happen to get the necessary approvals. So we met with the county. Certainly we already have traffic plans in place with ADOT, MCDOT, Peoria Police. We talked to Police and Fire, the Canal, the CAP project, the Water Department of Interior Water Reclamation is key in approval in this aspect. The Water District is exactly where you see on the footprint there. We would be hosting this. And then certainly there'd be city partners that we'd be able to work with in order to pull this off. As you can see by the footprint on the map there, if you've been there before, you come in on that road that's diagonal from the bottom right leading in. So it really puts you right into the festival atmosphere right initially. And as you see the powerboat regatta areas on that north ramp cove that's up there. We toured the whole site, both sides of the lake, and they really were drawn to that area for viewability as well as for the best case scenario for conditions. It's in a cove. It was actually a particularly windy day when they were here visiting, and that cove provided, there was no white caps or anything there. It really was a sanctuary to be able to host this event. We were talking about high-speed powerboats that need as flat of water is preferable to see the fastest races. So they would have an oval ramp in there and as you can see on the Vista Point there, that juts out between the powerboat and the marina there, there's tiers available. That's a Vista Point that's elevated, and it has a shoreline that we talk to the lake about, dragging that, maybe bringing in some sand to make that more accessible. And then there's two rows, and then the top of that. So we really see that, and it's all tiered. So it's a way we looked at bringing in temporary bleachers in order to house a best possible viewing, and they really like that. And we also believe there's room for growth with this. This is year 1. It's nice nestled in there. Down on that ramp, they have all the amenities they need. They have restrooms. We'd be able to have food and other entertainment aspects there. And we would look to provide some shuttling services between the main festival area and the powerboat regatta. What we're told is this brings in waves of attendance throughout the day. They would have time trials in the morning, then they would have their competition heats, and then they would finish up with all the races at the end for the finale. Throughout the day on the Festival Village area, they'll have each of those corresponding village opportunities. So it really provides a diverse set of opportunities for a diverse demographic that we hope to target and bring here. Because there's, again, I said before, if I don't have a boat, I don't really have a reason to go to the lake. We're providing multiple opportunities to come to the lake. regardless of whether they have a boat. And we do believe it'll be a fun, exciting, impactful time for them to do that.
Chris, just to make sure, and I apologize if it's later, just a little bit on the pricing philosophy for this event?
I'm sorry?
Pricing philosophy?
So you saw in the video that it was free, and certainly in the context of Three Rivers and others, they do see it as hard to be able to do that. So initial year, knowing it takes 3 to 5 years, you really want to make your biggest impact as you can. They're recommending it be free for the event itself. Now, working with the Pleasant Harbor, they charge, both sides of the lake actually charge a per carload to get in, $6 to $7, depending on which side you're at. So there's still a certain opportunity to add some buffer to that, maybe 10, 15, some dollars that we can do some revenue splits with them, that we're going to be drawing this attraction there. We've also worked with the lake to secure all the lodging that you see available there. They have 450 RV slots, and they have hundreds of camping opportunities there. So it's already reserved for that weekend of April 17th and 18th is for that. We've also talked to other, and hope to talk to even more, hotel providers in order to do that. But this being free allows anybody at the lake, either side, to come. And at the outside of that cove, we expect we'll see a lot of boats come and drop their own anchor and watch it right from their boat, or they may dock on the northern part of that cove and offload and just set up camp over there. So we do see a lot of excitement and participation around the boat regatta aspect of it. Certainly we invite them all to stop at the marina and walk up and check out the festival as well. So yes, does that answer? Yeah.
So Chris, I'm going to add one more piece of that too. Some of our other events have sponsors, and with time, ideally, we're very optimistic. We think there's going to be a great turnout for this. We're going to prove ourselves, and we want sponsorships. Ultimately, that's where we want to derive some of the revenue to. Anything we can do to offset the cost of putting this event on is a plus in our book. We can't keep funding everything in perpetuity, and the idea is to seed this, grow it, capture the revenue streams, including carloads, tickets, whatever it is, finally do sponsorships. And then hopefully at some point in time, the 3 to 4 year time frame, relinquish that. It's self-funded at that point. So that's a very good question. It's a very important thing to realize. We do feel very responsible in that fashion.
Okay.
The other thing I'd just like to add with that is not only sponsorships, is that also we take pride on building our partnerships within Peoria and the people that we work with. And in doing so, as we do with other events, is that we would look to those partnerships, and even with the promoter in time in that 3 to 5 year, that we would like them to take the lead and execute the event, and then the city takes more of a supportive role. With any large events that we do, certainly we want it to benefit anybody that's involved in it. We want to make sure our stakeholders are happy with what's going on. There's businesses at the lake, the surrounding businesses around that particular area, all would be able to benefit from something like this.
So how are we going to do that? Well, in summary, we'd like to be able to enter in a contract with Sager Blank Page in order to do that. And later on your formal agenda, there's 2 actions for you to be able to appropriate a budget amendment and authorization to enter into contract in order to provide us with this unique signature event that we sure and hope and know will put Peoria on the map and grow year over year and become a sure attraction where we're highlighting one of the hidden gems that we have in the valley that no other city can compete with us. So with that, and I know there's maybe a lot of questions, it's a big ask, so please allow us an opportunity to satisfy any of your inquiries that you may have regarding this big investment.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all of your work on this. And council comments? Councilmember Patena?
Thank you, Mayor. Chris and Eric, it seems like you have done your homework on this. It seems like a really exciting event. Just a quick question, you may or may not have the answer to this. The Formula 2 power boats will probably be your signature event at the lake. Any idea how many boats show up for this is the first question. And the second question is, if you're going to have like time trials in the morning, how long are they actually on the water so that people can view the boats?
So, Mayor and Council, Good questions. I do believe the time frame is anywhere from 10 to 5 o'clock. It's going to span the good part of the day to do the time trials and the heats and then the races themselves. As far as the number, I'm not quite sure. I know this would be part of the Super League circuit. It's very much like it's a point circuit. This would be in the beginning part of the year. Again, introducing Arizona to that new circuit really is going to depend on drivers' availability and ability to get here. They're very confident they're going to get a good number here, but I would have to get you that number a little bit later once we're able to solidify all the contracts.
Councilmember Hunt?
I'm very, very excited about this event. I love it. I love the lake setting. I love the excitement and what it's going to do to put Peoria more on the map than we are. I just have two kind of small questions that probably have very obvious answers, but I'm going to put them out there. With the lake's terrain and everything, what will you be doing about handicapped accessibility? Will they be depending mostly on a circulator or a golf cart or something to take them, because it doesn't seem all walkable?
Yes, well, and we've talked to the lake about improving the roads that they already have there, including the dirt roads. Accessibility is something we'll definitely put on the list from a logistics. We heard a lot from each of you about security, the footprint, transportation. We'll definitely put accessibility in there. I know they made inroads at the last music festival at the lake where they had an ADA drop-off in parking. Certainly we would work with, whether it's our own transit department or other facilitators, to help move them between event spaces.
That's what I was thinking more, so they would have the same opportunity to view the events as everybody else. I knew you'd take care of it. And the second thing, this might just be me, but those speedboats are really fast, and I try not to watch, stop it, any kind of racing, but occasionally I see a race car go off and into the audience, and I'm not familiar with this place where that would be, but do they take special precautions? Does a boat ever go out of the water and attack people, or do they take precautions? Is that really safe? Or, I'm not saying don't have it, because I'm just saying, how do we make it really safe so nobody gets hurt?
Mayor Pro Tem, that's a great question again. Again, this industry's been doing this for over 30 years. We have all the necessary insurance language in. They assure us that they would have it with them. Safety is their utmost importance. They mentioned that when they were here on their site visit, when they were talking about the capabilities of these boats,
Yeah.
and we talked about it with regards to population and the dam and other natural resources that are at play here. And they've had to deal a lot with that in other locations specifically. So we certainly can give you the safety aspects, components that they have in place. I'm sure they have a buffer of similar to a race course. There's a barrier on the outside of the race course, but we will definitely provide that with council once we have.
It just seems like if one of those monsters took off out of the water, they'd be airborne for a very long time, and that a barrier fence like they have at raceways wouldn't probably take care of it, but maybe they just don't have accidents. I'd like to actually see their safety record. How many crashes have they had where people have been, because insurance is good, but it doesn't take care of the
Certainly.
real injury if somebody's
We'll get that
killed.
information.
Councilmember Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor. Chris, I just have a couple questions. You guys, you were tasked to think outside the box, and you definitely thought outside the box. I love this event. I just had a couple questions. So currently, we have $200,000 in the budget for this, and you're asking for another 115. Where is that money? What bucket is that coming out of?
Mayor, Councilmember Edwards, that would be the contingency fund. That will be the ask. It's on the agenda later tonight if you so choose to move forward with this.
And then in the future for next year and years out, until we're able to not fund it any longer, you guys will look at where, is this always going to be out of contingency, or where is this going to come from?
And I can assist with that if I may. During the budget process, this will be something that you will look at every single year, just to be clear. And in this case, what we do envision as we talk with you about the budget is that there is some one-time money that is available above our reserves, and this would be applied toward that.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Finn?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment. I remember in the session when we talked about kind of the placemaking and trying to find something to do with the lake. I think this is a great idea. I not familiar with the boat racing circuit, but I can't really think of a better way to kind of utilize the lake than doing something on the water there. So I like the idea
Thank
very
you.
much.
Councilmember Binsbacher?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you for that presentation. A lot of great information, and I appreciate your due diligence, especially as it relates to the promoter. So that's just such an important partnership to launching an event of this magnitude. Considering the boat racing, and I love everything I'm hearing about the elements to the event, the water, the fire, arts, culinary, the added dollars that are being projected to pull this off. When we look at doing something like this that we've never done before, and the speedboat racing, Councilmember Hunt raises a good question about, the risks involved and all of that. They're servicing it from a public safety standpoint. We've never done anything like this before. So, and then moving towards unique elements like culinary versus just throwing food trucks out there. All of that adds up. And not knowing what we don't know about, particularly servicing it as far as public safety goes, have we considered those costs? Or all of those considered in this additional $115,000? Or could that potentially create greater expenses? And at what point do we find that out? And when we're committed, how do we manage that?
So, very good question, Vice Mayor. Those questions have come up. We have engaged the promoter. The 315 is really covering the marquee entertainment aspects that they're bringing from a national stage, that they have these working relationships with to bring here. That's going to be complemented with, and we can see that's the entertainment value. We really see a lot of the others as the consumable, pay-as-you-consume aspects of it. So will there be other aspects of it? Yes. There'll be some logistics that we'll, as a city, need to be able to provide and have provided in the past on similar events. But a lot of the others would be, that's where our partners are really going to come in. They're going to make their money off of it. And that's where the first year is get everybody's foothold in on how they're going to participate. What does this blueprint for success look like? And who all is engaged in that. And then we hope to year over year raise that bar for everybody who's participating. So first year, yes, very scary, haven't done it before. That's why we're hiring a promoter who's done it before several times in several different locations and has a proven track record for success over time. So every year we would reevaluate like we do with all of our events. What could we do? What do we need to do to grow attendance, revenues, safety, whatever the aspects are that we need to be able to contribute. I don't know if there's anything anybody else wants to answer.
Real quick, and so if I'm correct, the Vice Mayor's also making sure, so the amount that we're talking about today, that would be the all-inclusive cost. In addition, there would be some city resources we would have to organize, but this would be the budget amount.
Correct. For the event itself, this is guaranteed. They said they manage that. They won't ask for any more.
Okay, and they do security and all of that?
So that would be part of the deliverables that we would work with them to be able to provide. Definitely working with our partners, we will be working very closely with them because yes, they have that 30-year experience, that they are event creators, but we also here, the special events team and the city staff team, we know what we need to do to put on a great and unique event for Peoria and what those expectations are. So we will be managing that part of it.
Okay. With regard to an event like this, really bringing, driving tourism, economic development, and job creation, that will take time, and I would love to see that happen. Is it out of the question, especially working with a promoter that has the track record that they have, that we could get sponsors in the first or second year? Would that be on them? Would that be on the city?
That'd probably be more on the city, definitely, because they're national, and it doesn't preclude them from not getting one, but it generally is going to fall on the local jurisdiction. So they have they have connections with the news affiliates of ABC and CBS that they're going to be able to tie into for marketing promotion. We hope to look as many sponsorship opportunities we can garner. More likely than not, especially with the tourism impact, you're going to need 1 year's success and another's to build on to demonstrate for a sponsorship to come in. So we will certainly give it the best try we can into all the known quantities we have, but we do believe that will grow, as we've seen even on our other events. They grow year over year based on the prior year's success.
I kind of worry a little bit about that with the culinary because, again, they want to see proven results before they take the risk. It's so different than with food trucks, and then they want funding up front to support that. That concerns me a little bit. I, again, love the idea. When you look at this established event, you see development around that water. There's no development around this water. And so when we have waves of people coming in, thousands in a day, they're coming from somewhere else, and how are we moving them? Are we looking at providing that transportation to encourage those continued, waves of people coming in and out? Because they won't be there. They can't just, walk to one area of the lake or another. They're going to have to leave the area and come back. That, in my opinion, seems to be the biggest challenge. Even looking at the smaller events that we just did, logistically getting them from one place to the other. I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but all of those things could bring on added expense. So.
Yeah, real quickly, Mayor and Vice Mayor Binsbacher, on just to kind of go back to the sponsorship piece, that does weigh heavily on us. We realize that if this is going to be successful, we've got to try to get others to part with their money and help promote it and sponsor it. That will take a little bit of time. Year one is year one, and as Chris said, there's a lot of collateral we have to assemble, and then we have to go out and be smart about who we're going to approach and who we're going to talk to. That's a whole art and discipline in and of itself, as you know. Doesn't mean we can't do it or won't do it. It means that we're just going to have to spend some real thoughtful time in planning that out. Fortunately, we do have a good team on board, not only with this group, but we also do a lot at the sports complex as well. And there's a lot of talent in the city where we can get some initial thought piece into that. The other part of it too, one of the pieces that they are proposing that we want to do is the Friday before the Saturday of the main event. We do want to have kind of a reception, a different kind of reception, kind of more of a VIP type reception. And you talked about economic development in and around the area. We would very much like to use that as an opportunity to invite individuals, prominent individuals from throughout the valley, from throughout the community, who may have never been to that part of Arizona, to that part of our city, and kind of show them, hey, this is right here. We want you to check out Peoria. And Lake Pleasant is the heart and soul of that with respect to outdoor recreation, and this monster lake that Chris talked about. Phoenix can't compete with us, neither can anyone else. So there's that element as well. On the parking side of it, they do have an active footprint. They've had their 4th of July events there. It's been heavily attended. I think the last one was upwards of 33,000, was it, I heard, or I could be wrong.
Previous years.
No, I think the
Previous
highest
years.
they've had.
But to your point, at some point, as this grows, there's only so many parking spaces, and we'll have to think about transportation, transit, and everything else that goes along with that. We want it to be successful, and that'll be one of the things that we'll eventually have to factor into it.
Okay. The other quick note just on sponsorships again, yes, it is very important, and that goes back to those partnerships. I mean, we've been doing a lot of events in Peoria, and we have had a lot of great support with our partners that have helped us with the sponsorships. With anything, when you're doing something, you're starting from the ground up, as you know, Bridget, Vice Mayor, has put events on that it takes that relationship, it takes that first year to get you through, and once you're in there, people are knocking on our doors asking us for those opportunities. With that, so because we do have that time frame that we're working with, we certainly plan on reaching out to those folks that we have worked with in the past and continue to bundle all of our events alone. This just isn't a standalone event. It is an event that we want to be able to showcase part of the entire package that we put on to deliver those sponsorships and get those added sponsorships for this event too.
Vice Mayor, did you have a question also within the event itself and transportation, getting to the venues, or was that not part of it?
Yeah, but I don't know if this is.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
that's
can
such
get
a
that too.
added, more detail, a lot of detail.
We're putting transportation inside and outside as a logistics thing that we'll be working through to get people to there and amongst there. We do think the waves is going to help spread things out, but it's something of a known quantity.
I mean, you can't, it looks like it's all right there close on the map, but you saw the little grass area. We were That's, I mean,
Correct.
go
And that's
up-
why we did the
Yeah,
site
that's
visit.
a-
That's why they looked at
that's a
both
haul.
coves, they looked at both sides, and they felt compelled that this is perfect, especially for year one, for viewability and convenience. Recognizing there is a distance there, and you do have traffic going down to the marina, that's everyday traffic. So we do want to look to our friends over at Pogo or something to be able to assess transportation needs between the festival village and the regatta area.
I do appreciate that they see that no one else has what we have. I love that. Thank you.
So I went to the site and visited just to get a look at exactly how much space there is in that bay area and where people would be viewing it from. And that area where people would be watching it is quite elevated. So it's a perfect place to be, first of all, up above, so no boats are gonna, come and hit you. And you're looking down on it, and you can see the entire lake. I mean, it is really a perfect vista for anything, and especially any kind of a boat race. So I love that. That's the good news, and the bad news about that vista is that, you're a little bit elevated, you have to walk down a dirt road to get to any other area. So that transportation on the inside is gonna be really, really important internally. And if you're gonna be using the grass, or if you're gonna be getting people down to Dillon's or to the water itself, there is going to have to be a lot of internal energy expent in making that happen. And so, in addition to this event planner, it's really going to be up to the city of Peoria to make sure that our citizens find this compelling and easy and fun and seamless. Are we up for this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, and that's a valid question, given the time frame, and that's something we really pressed the promoter. We knew it was just around the corner, and they assured us, in fact, they exuded confidence when they got here, that they said that all the connections they've already made that they've outlined in this presentation, everybody's chomping at the bit. We just need this next step to happen so we can actually start making deposits and get everybody secured for the event itself. So utmost confidence we'll be able to pull this off.
So the utmost confidence from the event planner, or the utmost confidence from Peoria city staff?
All of those.
All of the
All
above.
of those, and definitely our partners. One thing, I know I keep saying partners, but it is so important. We have developed such a great partnership with both sides of the lake, but definitely, we've done more events and interactive events with the Pleasant Harbor and the Water District. And each time, this past event that we did, the Country Music Festival, and the partners, I just can't stress that enough. So it is more than just the city. It is more than just the promoters. It is all our stakeholders and our partners that we work with when we put an event on, and our city departments too. So it's going to take all of that. And this is something that we haven't done before. It's unique, it's exciting. It is certainly going to put Peoria on the map in a way that we haven't had that opportunity to do before. And it's also going to highlight the gym that we have here too.
Thank you. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Speaking of partnerships, first of all, the Water District does have that taxi service. They will call, you can call right from your campsite, and they will come and take you anywhere you go. So they already have sort of a plan in place. I didn't even realize that until just this last event. But speaking of partnerships, I just want to make sure, internally and externally, that we are engaging fire and police, however, police may have to be involved, but fire definitely, because they have relationships there. There's Tiller and Kites, we talked about that, and that's the Sea Scouts program and their sailing program, and they're doing things and bringing travelers in. We're not even aware of what's happening. And then there's also the Coast Guard that's hiding out down there in that little area that is, potentially going to have a larger presence there at some point. So just again, key relationships, we want to make sure that they're all part of the conversation and in the know on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Dunn, did you have any comments or questions?
I just had one question, if I could. Do we have the history of the prior expenses from the other signature events that have already been held? Have they gone up? Have they stayed steady? Or have they gone, what's the history?
So is your question, how much have we had to
The
utilize
cost,
our fire? I'm sorry?
no. The cost of the event that that it's held elsewhere, I think it was Pittsburgh one in Florida, what they're paying and what we're paying, so what they've paid over the years, have those costs gone up every year? Has it been relatively steady? Just do we have a history of the costs associated with this?
Thank you.
We don't have that directly accessible. I know there was some market analysis on a boat regatta in the consultant report, which was even higher than what's being quoted here. Now, again, that's probably looking down the road, and their costs have been elevated. I mean, if they have 100,000 to 750,000 over the course of a weekend, their costs are obviously going to be much different than what the footprint we're envisioning for year one. But we certainly can ask that and see if we can get it, just to get a sense on the growth pattern of the costs relative to the revenues.
Also, if I may, Councilmember Dunn, I might also mention that generally speaking, for large events of this scope, the expenses tend to go up from year to year simply because once you are reaching a larger population, there is more infrastructure that has to be maintained, as well as adding additional elements to keep it fresh and interesting. So just from that perspective, you would anticipate anywhere from a 5 to 10% increase in expenses, and I think that we would want to anticipate that in our planning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Council, any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much for all of the work you've done on this and for your presentation, and the pictures and the videos were very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. That's all we have.
Okay, and with that, we are adjourned until our 7 p.m. meeting.
He's under center. Motion. It's going to be a run. And we tackled at the Cougars' 41-yard line. That was a run by number 40, Derek Jajarski, the fullback. And it'll be 1st and 10 at the Cougar 41. Jonathan Morris all alone in the backfield. Drops back. It's going to be complete. And it'll be tackled at 35. Complete by number 3, Jaden Young. Gain of 6 on the play. Bring up a 2nd and 4 at the Cougars 35. Motion. It's going to be a handoff. They're going to mark him around the 30-yard line. So it's going to be a 1st down for the Coyotes. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Coyotes at the Cougar 31. That was a run by number 84, Joseph Solarzar. going to be a completion. Inside the 15. There's a flag on the play.
That's what's so cool. Now we have this. So we've never had that before. That's what I'm so proud of having. Like, you never have that shot down the line.
And they're going to wave the flag. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Coyotes at the Cougar 12-yard line. Motion. Timeout, Coyotes. The volleyball team finishes the regular season on Tuesday, October 29th at Ironwood. The team has worked extremely hard all season and is hoping to qualify for the state tournament. Good luck, ladies. So far, the Coyotes have gotten down to the Cougars' 12-yard line already. Motion. Morris is going to hand it off. That was a run by number 25, Mark Jacob, tackled by number 3, Andrew De Leon. Bring up a 2nd and 12 at the Cougar 14.
This has been a strong, effective drive for the Coyotes. Now they're in field goal range. We'll see if they can get points on the board.
It's going to be another run. Down to the Cougar 8-yard line. Gain of 4. Going to bring a third and goal. 3rd and 5. At the Cougars' 8-yard line. Going to be a pass. It's going to be complete to number 13. Brad Young on the completion, the tight end. And touchdown for the Coyotes. Coyotes should attempt the extra point.
The Mayor and City Council welcome you to the Peoria City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. If you would like to address an issue that is on the agenda, or if you would like to speak to the council regarding a non-agenda item, please complete a speaker request form, which can be found in the front lobby of the Peoria City Council chambers or in the tray to the left of the speaker's podium. Please place the completed speaker request form in the second tray to the left of the speaker's podium labeled Request to Speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown clock is easily visible on the left side of the wall behind the City Council dais. Only items listed on the agenda may be addressed by the council. Since items presented as part of a speaker's request have not been listed on the agenda, and due to the requirements of open meeting laws, the council will be unable to respond to items presented as part of the speaker's request. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time, in the order that the forms were received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Peoria City Council meeting.
So meeting will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of quiet reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Youth Council Liaison Ravindra.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Carlett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt.
Here.
Councilmember Patena.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Dunn.
Here.
Council Liaison Greathouse. Council Liaison Ravindran.
Here.
Good evening and welcome to the Peoria City Council meeting of November 12th, 2019. The first item on the agenda is a presentation regarding the Peoria Education Foundation Visionary Awards. And I am happy to invite Ms. Tammy Caraway, President of the Peoria Education Foundation, to the podium. Good evening.
Good evening. Is it on? Can you hear me? Okay, all right, thank you. Well, thank you very much. As mentioned, I'm Tamara Caraway, President of the Peoria Education Foundation, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So, Mayor Carlott, Vice Mayor Binsbacher, and council members, thank you. Really appreciate this opportunity. So the Peoria Education Foundation was established in 1987 as a way to help enhance the educational experience of students and teachers for the Peoria Unified School District. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that administers 2 primary programs. One is for college scholarships for students, and the other is grants to teachers for innovative classroom programs. Our foundation board members include elected official, local business members, community members, and parents. We are very fortunate also to have 2 principals on our board, a high school principal who's with us tonight, and an elementary principal serving as ex officios. Our board members participate and encourage teachers and students by being part of the Peoria Unified community. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the board members who are with us today. We have Joan Evans, Mike Melarani, Joe Schiavone, and Principal Jeff Wooten. And I don't think we had anybody else join us. So thank you for being here, including our very own Vice Mayor, Bridget Binsbacher, who, when I spoke with her a couple weeks ago about this, I just asked her why she likes to serve on the Peoria Education Foundation board. And I will paraphrase. I don't know if we're advancing, sorry, but I don't see our presentation moving forward. I just noticed that, sorry. But I'll paraphrase her words. Thank you. And okay, you just handed somebody who's not technologically advanced. So I'll skip to a couple of these. But paraphrasing her quote, she said, with so many other boards, committees, and nonprofit options, the foundation had the greatest reach and impact to target youth, arts, and education. And that the foundation has always stayed our course in our mission to impact Peoria, Peoria Unified, and kids. And we have a great story to tell. So thank you very much for that. Since its inception, the foundation has distributed nearly $2 million in scholarships to students and grants to teachers in the Peoria Unified School District. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself here. The Peoria Education Foundation is committed to assisting learners at all levels of their education. Each school year, the foundation provides thousands of dollars in grants to teachers and principals in the Peoria Unified School District. These grants have provided professional development, created STEAM programs, and to purchase classroom materials. Scholarship programs have been established to enable students to continue in their post-secondary education. Scholarships are awarded to recognize outstanding accomplishments and act as incentives and encouragement for students to continue work towards meeting their educational goals. Scholarships totaling $42,250 were given in 2019 for Against All Odds, Community Service, Joseph McCord Memorial Scholarship, the Dr. Denton Santarelli Leadership Scholarship, and the most recently added We Are Able Scholarship. And this year, we're also piloting a program for emergency needs funds. New in 2019 is the We Are Able Scholarship, which is intended for those graduating seniors who have experienced working with special needs students during their high school career and who plan to complete their field of study, specifically working with individuals with disabilities. We are also in process of creating an emergency needs fund, which would allow principals the ability to fulfill their students' basic urgent needs. So these situations can range from a pair of siblings who have maybe no shoes to a child who has improper reading glasses. So the fund allows principals to immediately step in while working towards a long-term solution. Part of our ongoing fundraising efforts is the Thank a Teacher program. For a small donation made to the foundation, parents, teachers, or community members can send a note of appreciation to their favorite educator. The foundation then crafts this note, and it's delivered to their classroom during the week of Teacher Appreciation Week in the spring. The Peoria Arts and Festival, this is a mouthful for me always. The Peoria Arts and Cultural Festival is a one-of-a-kind event that supports the thriving arts and cultural environment across the Peoria Unified School District, with a strong collaboration with the City of Peoria, the Peoria Education Foundation, and the Peoria Unified Peoria Unified Education Department. The Arts and Cultural Festival couples community entertainment with educational programming, including featuring local gourmet food trucks, arts and crafts for kids to make and take, and a community stage for performances. The Arts and Cultural Festival has become the premier signature event for both the district and the city in the spring. The festival boasts a wide variety of visitors from Peoria Unified families, students and staff, to local arts lovers and community members who are looking for maybe an event on the west side in the West Valley to experience. It also serves as one of the largest fundraisers for the foundation. Every dollar, we have no paid staff, so every dollar that is given to the foundation goes directly back to the students and teachers in Peoria Unified. through everyday tasks like shopping on Amazon, one of my favorites, and rounding up your change, you also can make a difference. And you already have made a huge difference in the lives of students and teachers. Because the City of Peoria has been such a great support to the foundation, for this year's Visionary Award, we are honoring you, Mayor Carlott, and the City of Peoria Council with this award. And we'll celebrate it in April, where it will be formally announced and recognized. So April 13th, please join us at the Visionary Dinner Awards. So thank you all so much for everything you do.
Wow, thank you. I just want to say that the Visionary Award is such an award of substance, and it's so meaningful, and it is really a coveted award, and we are humbled and honored to accept it. Thank you very, very much, and thank you to all of your board members. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you. On behalf of the foundation, we're very, very appreciative and excited to be able to give this honor to you. Good night.
Thank you again. Very nice. What a great way to start our meeting, huh? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a presentation, and we are recognizing Be Kind Month this evening. The Be Kind People Project is a nonprofit organization initiating positive social change in schools and provides a framework for youth that will improve academic achievement, interpersonal relationship skills, accountability, behavior, personal health and wellness, teacher appreciation, and the formation of enduring values. Since 2012, the Be Kind People Project has provided over 30 million classroom resources nationwide, made 250,000 teacher contacts, held 500 Be Kind crew assemblies, and have made 5 million student contacts. That is pretty incredible. Now, I would like to invite Robin Lee Amos and Emmanuel Moore from the Be Kind People Project down to the chamber floor so that I may present you with a proclamation. Excuse me. All right, I have a proclamation that I am going to read in just a moment here, as soon as I get ready. I understand. Okay, this is a proclamation from the City of Peoria. Whereas more people should project and practice the belief that kindness begins with me. And whereas research indicates that over 70% of parents and teachers believe that the world needs to be a kinder place for our children. And whereas additional research shows that being kind makes people feel happy and joyful, promotes good health, and emits positive feelings in oneself and in others. And whereas the Be Kind People Project is dedicated to building a culture of caring and respect while encouraging children to form healthy and respectful interpersonal relationships with friends, family, and community members. And whereas being kind is intentionally extending good to others and starts with the individual. And whereas in an effort to further civility and kindness in our community, the City of Peoria, Arizona, is honored to add its name to the 1 Million Citizens for Kindness campaign and observe and support the national and worldwide movements dedicated to advancing kindness for all people. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Carlott, Mayor of Peoria, Arizona, do hereby proclaim November as Be Kind America Month. Thank you. Would you like to say something? Here, you set that down?
Our our crew is a group of professional urban dancers that goes to schools and communities to teach kindness. And because the kids don't want to hear from someone like me, I'm going to let Kunta thank you on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. And as Robin said, on behalf of the Be Kind People Project, thank you for issuing this proclamation of Be Kind America for the month of November. I have to say, I've been to hundreds of schools in the Valley, and I've interacted with thousands of students and teachers, and it's amazing to see how engaged and responsive everyone is and how appreciative everyone is. And we always tell the students, you know, that they can make a difference. And I think as adults, we kind of look to the youth and we're like, you're still young, you can make a difference and you can do all this stuff. But just hearing even Tamara speak and just meeting the mayor, it's evident that you all are making a difference too. And I applaud you for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you both for all that you do. We appreciate it. I would just like to point out that tonight in our audience, we have a former council member. Joan Evans is here. She is part of the Peoria Education Foundation Board, and we're glad to have you back in our chambers. Okay, we will now move on to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine or have been previously reviewed by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion unless a council member requests an item to be removed and considered in the normal sequence of the agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes items that require a public hearing. If there's any member of the public present who wants to address a public hearing on the consent agenda, please complete a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the speaker's podium. That item will be removed from consent and heard during the normal course of the regular agenda. Council, is there anything to be removed from the consent agenda?
Mayor, I've been asked to remove item 11C from the agenda.
Thank you. Item 11C will be heard during the normal regular agenda. Is there any other items that the members of the public would like to have removed from consent? All right, seeing none. Is there a motion on consent with the exception of item 11C?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. And Councilmember Dunn,
Yes?
would you please vote verbally?
Yes. My vote is yes.
All right, thank you. The consent agenda passes unanimously. And we will now move on to the regular agenda. And prior to hearing item 11C, I am going to move our last agenda item to be our first agenda item. No, it's not our last one. Excuse me for a moment, and I'll tell you what it is. It is item 23R, Memorandum of Understanding, United Phoenix Firefighters Association, Local 493. We are going to hear that one first. Mr. Tyne, may I have a staff
Thank you.
presentation, please?
Why, I'm both.
Yes, Mr. Staff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Peoria Firefighters Association and our Human Resources Department have had constructive conversations and done a great deal of work to reach an agreement for an MOU renewal. And we have Christine Nickel, our Human Resources Director, that will present the details of the agreement and seek your approval for a new 3-year MOU. And she has some guest stars next to her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyne. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here before you this evening to review the proposed Memorandum of Understanding between the United Phoenix Firefighters Association, Local 493, commonly referred to as PFFA. The current MOU between the city and PFFA expires June 30th of 2020. To my right is Captain Hunter Clare. He is the president of PFFA and the lead negotiator. And to my left is Dee Dee Gates, Deputy Human Resources Director and lead negotiator for the city. PFFA represents approximately 181 positions made up of firefighters, fire engineers, and fire captains. We are really proud of the excellent relationship between the city and PFFA, and we recognize the important work that they perform every day to make the city a success. We also realize it's important to the City Council that we provide competitive wages and benefits. And we believe that the contract we bring before you this evening both meets the interests of PFFA and the City Council. I'd like to take just a moment to recognize the hard work of the negotiating teams. First, for PFFA, as I mentioned, Hunter Clare, fire captain and lead negotiator. We also had Chad Cortman, Ben Burns, Justin Grosby, and James Neely, all fire captains and association representatives. For the city, Andy Granger, deputy city manager, myself, and Dee Dee Gates as the lead negotiator. There we go. Just a little overview of the process. We conducted a wage and market study in the spring of 2019, and we updated the information all throughout the meet and confer process. Negotiations formally kicked off with PFFA submitting their interest to the City Council and a joint presentation to the City Council during a study session August 13th. Between August 14th and October 3rd, the City and PFFA held numerous sessions to discuss wage and benefit issues. All issues were discussed earnestly with respect and collaboration. A tentative agreement was reached October 3rd, and PFFA notified the city October 29th that the membership ratified the proposed MOU. The chart before you provides an overview of the major components of the contract, market adjustments and step merit increases by fiscal year. You will notice that more resources were applied to the top of the pay ranges for firefighter, fire engineer, and fire captain. This is in response to PFFA's interests and current and anticipated market placement over the next 3 years. In addition to the market adjustments and the merit step increases, secondary economic items included in the proposal are an increase in the employer contribution to the 457 plan by $7.50 per pay period in the first 2 contract years, an increase in paramedic pay from $2.37 per hour to $2.50 per hour, and annual lump sum payments for the duration of this agreement only. And I know that sounded short and sweet, but that concludes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions you may have, and thank you once again to PFFA for bringing forth such earnest conversations and collaboration. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Council, questions? Councilmember Patena?
I just have some comments. I'd like to thank Christine and Dee Dee and Hunter for making these negotiations very professional, moving through this process. Sometimes they can get a little dicey. That didn't happen this time, and we're very grateful for that. You know, it's we want to bring in good firefighters, and we want to keep the firefighters that we have. And it's this council's desire to keep Peoria as an employer of choice, and I think through this contract we've done that. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Councilmember Hunt?
Yes, again, I would really like to thank our firefighters. You guys stand out in the valley as among the finest, the most polite, the most caring. And I know that starts with your leadership, but it goes down through the other ranks of leadership. So thank you, Hunter, for the example that you set. I had occasion to call the fire paramedics about a week ago for my husband who had fallen, and it turned out he was not seriously injured. He didn't have to be transported, but they treated him just with special care. And I just want to say how much I appreciate those guys from Fire Station 1, but for all of Peoria Fire, and I wholeheartedly approve this. Again, I think we already are the city of choice, but we need to stay that way. So thank you.
Thank you, and I have to concur. The negotiations were civil and professional, and I think that we all had in mind that we want to continue with our strong collaborative partnership that we have in the city of Peoria. So we're all very happy to vote on this contract this evening. So with that, council, do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second and a third. Please vote. Councilmember Dunn?
My vote is yes.
Thank you. And it passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. All right, we will now move on to item 11C. This is budget amendment, historical artifact preservation and storage. Mr. Tyne?
Great, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a motion to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $19,000. It would be a budget appropriation from our general fund contingency account and using reserves from the general fund for the obligation to preserve and store the artifacts remaining at the Peoria historical buildings. With that, we have Sharon Robertson, our assistant to the city manager, that will provide a presentation for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this tonight. We're here tonight to ask you for a budget amendment in the amount of $19,000 for the retention of a museum expert and the materials needed to store and move the artifacts and collections that were left behind in the museums. As you know, the city maintained an agreement with the Peoria, Arizona Historical Society since the early 1990s, whereby we leased 5 historical buildings to them at a nominal rate. Due to extended discord over a number of years, culminated with 2 separate groups laying sole claim to being the board members, that ongoing confusion left us without an entity to conduct business. So as you know, council discussed the pending litigation in the January 6th executive session, and approved the termination of the lease at the January 22nd council meeting. Notice was given to the lessees on January 24th, the lease would be terminated 6 months from then. The lease was then terminated on July 23rd of this year. Although giving the 2 groups 6 months time to come to a resolution and a plan for dispersing the contents of the buildings, that was not accomplished. So the city was left with these buildings with a lot of historical artifacts and items that were donated and loaned by citizens. So at that point, we decided to retain the services of a museum consultant, 30 years in the business, expert in dealing with small historical societies and museum collections. She has been working for 3 months now to inventory, catalog, and preserve these items, store them in acid-free boxes and tissue paper and all the correct materials needed to make sure that these items are cared for. In addition to that, we are looking to move the items to climate-controlled storage until such time as resolution is reached in this situation. So that brings us tonight to ask you for approval for a budget amendment in the amount of $19,000. Would come from the general fund contingency account, would be used for the payment of the consultant services, the storage materials, movers, and storage fees until such time as some resolution is reached here. When and if the Peoria, Arizona Historical Society is established in a new location, the city will seek reimbursement for all costs incurred with everything that I've just mentioned. With that, are there any questions for me?
Thank you. Council, any questions? Ms. Hunt?
Thank you, Sharon. I know you've been working on this. It was my understanding, and maybe I'm just confusing what you just said, but it was my understanding that as you identified this quilt as belonging to this family, maybe their person, that they would be contacted to come and pick that item up as soon as ownership was established. And what I think I heard you just say was that everything will be moved until a resolution is accomplished between these two entities. That is not what I had understood, and we've published in the newspaper what I just said. So has anything changed?
That is correct, and I may defer to our city attorney for assistance with answering this, but as I understand our position, that the city is best served by waiting until there is some resolution in this legal matter and the dispute between the two parties before any items are dispersed back to the families, the donors, the loaners of these materials. So in the meantime, we're taking very good care of the items and making sure that they're stored in a way that they're tracked, inventoried, so that when we do come to that position, hopefully sooner rather than later, that we will be in a good position to do just what you just mentioned.
And I will weigh in on this as well and say that is correct. We have tasked the museum expert with cataloging the items and storing them in the appropriate method so that we're able to care for them until such time as the board is identified. There's a resolution to the lawsuit. We have difficulty when trying to return items to someone who claims ownership when we are the landlord of the building and the donation agreements are between the party that donated the item and the board, who we don't currently have a board that has been determined by a judge or by agreement of the parties. So we are trying to preserve and protect the items until that issue is resolved, and then we will have a clear path forward to return the items.
Well, I probably have some more questions and all, but this probably doesn't seem like the proper time to discuss it,
Absolutely.
so that's fine.
Okay. Council, any further questions? All right, if not, I do have some speaker request forms, and the first one is for Ruth Osuna. If you would kindly come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Carlott and members of the City Council. My name is Ruth Osuna. My address is 1766 Northeast Ashbury Drive, Hillsboro, Oregon. I have a letter for you to formally request that the City of Peoria return all articles, including photos, paintings, documents, furniture, household, and other personal items and property that were loaned to the Peoria Historic Museum by Frank E. Osuna family and that are currently located in the Peoria Historical Museum building. My father, Frank Osuna, volunteered each Sunday afternoon for 4 hours at the Peoria Historic Museum. He committed to this volunteer assignment so that the Peoria Museum would be in compliance with the grant received by the organization. I joined the board at that time to be closer to my father because I knew he spent 4 hours every Sunday and I wanted to spend those 4 hours with him. He was honored for his volunteer work, and he spent several years doing this work. And he, like so many of his neighbors and longtime Peoria pioneer families, loaned historic items in good faith to ensure that the story of early life in Peoria was told. He enjoyed talking to people who visit the museum every Sunday afternoon and talking about what Peoria was like in the early to mid-1900s. I'm currently in the process of restoring a historic home, our first family home here in downtown Jefferson, and I'm making a substantial investment. And some of the items that are in the museum were to be sent over to the house when it is restored and completed. But I have to say, a little bit shocked when I was told that these items were being boxed up and stored. I am a little bit more relieved by hearing the explanation this afternoon or this evening that there is some care being taken by a curator, someone with expertise on how to do this. But I made a promise to my father, and that was to restore that home on Jefferson, and I am doing that. And I'm asking the Peoria City Council tonight to please preserve the trust of longtime residents and the Peoria's first families, and that the items that were loaned to the city and to the museum are returned in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have another speaker request form from Betty Ramsey Osborne. If you would kindly come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mayor, and all council people for the opportunity to speak regarding the Historical Society. I am a lifetime member of the Society since 1990, when we were just an organization before incorporation. When we incorporated, which is 1994, Priscilla Cook, now deceased, and I signed the corporation with the Arizona Corporation Commission and the 501c3 nonprofit organization. So I am holding the Peoria, Arizona Historical Society name. And I wish to see the Historical Society to continue. I know there's been a lot of discord, but I would really like to work with the city to see if we couldn't get a lot of new folks to work together. I believe that we could save a lot of that $19,000 if we get a good group of officers and members on the board to serve and work with the city. I hate to see that much money being spent when we have good folks in Peoria, old-timers, who would like to have their things returned. But if we could have a good organization, start our Historical Society anew, I would love to see that. I'm not a very young person. I'm 81 years old now, and I really am very sad to see this happen. There are 4 people that are members of the Historical Society that know just about every little thing that has been given or loaned to the Historical Society. And that is Miss Lee Turner, Miss Kathy Montoya Moore, Mr. Kenneth Johnson, and myself. Those 4 people could give you almost 100% identification of all the items. Please let us work together. That is what I'm here for. I think it's a shame to see the city close the Historical Society. I mean, that puts a black mark on the city, and that we don't need that. We need the Historical Society. I'm representing Mr. Craig Cook of Yuma and Mr. Kenneth Johnson of Peoria, along with myself, family items. If we continue, I would not request to have our items or these items returned, that we would leave them in the Historical Society for our family, for our city, for the folks that visit to see what Peoria is. Thank you very much, and I appreciate if I could work with the city.
Thank you very much for your comments. And I have another request to speak from Ms. Eva Osuna. If you would kindly come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. As my cousin Ruth mentioned, my uncle was a volunteer for 4 years, and I volunteered at the same time. He was at the 2-room classroom, and I was at the jail, and every afternoon he'd finish his time over at the schoolhouse, and he'd honk at this jail and just to let me know he's done with his time. And I volunteered as a board member as well. Ruth and I were serving at the same time. I also received the Edmund Tang Award for Volunteer of the Year as well. So we have a lot invested as a family. And I too have artifacts at the Historical Society. I have my mother's artifacts of 30+ years of a business that she ran and owned here in Peoria. And you know, it's very difficult. I heard that there was going to be a curator, and I'm sure a professional curator. But I also hear what the stories out there that that the previous board removed all the tags from all the artifacts in there. That's concerning to me because my artifacts are in there. If those are removed, not a professional curator is going to be able to say, that belongs to the Osuna family. I will be the only one that can say that. And that's my concern. So how do we take care of this? I would like to be more aware of what's going on. Yes, Vicki, there is a lot in the paper, but you hear that, and then I get different stories from the 2 societies that are out there. So I'm very confused. I would really appreciate if those artifacts that belong to my mother would be returned to me. I know which ones they are. I am very afraid that they're going to be moved, and when they get moved, they're going to get lost, especially if they don't have the tags on them. And I do understand that that happened while there was a transition of boards. So I respectfully am asking for whoever's in charge to contact me. I will pick up my items, and hopefully we can come to some kind of agreement. Thank you and appreciate the time.
Thank you. Council, any comments? I would just like to make one comment. It is unfortunate that this situation has gotten to this point. It is a legal matter. It is a contractual matter. The city is not part of the Historical Society. The city has not closed the Historic Society, that it was not ours to close. We closed our building when we could not determine who was in charge of the contents of that building, which we had to do because we couldn't answer to any particular Historical Society board, and none could answer to us. And so we did close it. We did not want to be involved in this, and much time was spent waiting for those 2 parties to resolve their situation. They each had attorneys, they each had much opportunity and much time to resolve it, and when they didn't, we finally had to come in with our own curator and our own way to inventory those things and to care for them and to assure that the history of the city of Peoria is cared for well. We are expending the amount of dollars that it takes to do that. And we will continue to do whatever we have to do to make sure that those artifacts are taken care of. And this council agenda this evening, this item, is to even expend more city and taxpayer dollars to make sure that those items are cared for the best that we possibly can care for them in the most professional way that we can care for them. We have no choice. If both of those entities would like to resolve their legal dispute, and one of them came forward and said, I am now the Peoria, Arizona Historical Society, we would be more than happy to deal with that organization and release everything to them. We're not in the historical artifact business. So having said all of that, we really have no other choice but to do what we've been doing, which is to care for the items the best that we can. With that, council, is there a motion on this agenda item?
I move that we accept item 11C and move forward with a $19,000 allocation so that the items can be carefully maintained.
And do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Are you voting yes?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And 11C passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the regular order of our agenda, 19R, Grant in Aid Agreement, Tohono O'odham Nation, Mission Critical Emergency Response Robot. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you, Mayor and Council. We would like to share some exciting news regarding our partners at the Tohono O'odham Nation. This council and prior councils have worked hard to foster a partnership with the nation, and tonight's agenda item further solidifies this relationship. Our Fire Medical Department Chief, Bobby Reese, will present to you a brief description of important safety-enhancing equipment now available to the department thanks to a grant from the TO Nation.
Mayor and council, thank you and good evening. It is a great honor for me to ask you to approve a grant that is given to us by the Tohoto Autumn Nation for $108,000 for an emergency response robot. This is kind of what I had envisioned. However, this is more reality. So we think this will do the trick for us. It's a lot very similar to the one that the police department has for their bomb retrievals and their bomb squad. We think that with different attachments, we can use it for hazardous materials incidents and safely take in meters and meter the area for poisonous gases and explosive gases and keep our people out of harm's way with this machine. It's remote control, and again, you've probably seen it before with PD, is we'll have the ability to open doors, probably not the way that we're accustomed to, is usually we bang up doors and get them open. But you can actually put a key on one of the arms and tweezers, whatever they're called, and open a door by the cameras that are on it and look at it and whatnot. If there's keys available, if not, we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Carry meter equipment, multiple cameras that we could have on it, maneuver it through rugged terrain upstairs and things of that nature, and it'll travel up to 3,300 feet, so without being tethered or any other equipment. So we think this will do the trick for us. So with that, I'll entertain any questions and ask for your vote.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Vice Mayor? Nope. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. How soon do we get this? And is it built especially for us, or is it just like one size fits all and we order it and then it comes?
A little bit of both, Mayor Pro Temp. We are going to invite a few vendors and different models to the Phoenix Academy to play with them and see what they can do and if they can, what is the best product to provide what we need in those environments.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? I am so in favor of not only doing whatever we can to make sure that our firefighters have a safe environment in which to work and to walk into new buildings. Wish we would have had this just a little bit earlier, for sure, but I am really pleased that the Tohono O'odham has given us this grant. It is so meaningful, and it is probably going to save lives. So there's just no better way for money to be spent, so we certainly appreciate them. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember Dunn?
Yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. And item 19R passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, item 20R. Agreement, Partnership of Economic Innovation, Smart Cities Consortium. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you. And Katie Gregory, our Deputy City Manager, will discuss a multi-agency partnership agreement for the Smart Region Consortium, which will help us better understand investments in smart technology that really will enhance our services for all municipalities in the region.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Tonight's item on the agenda is a request to approve an agreement between the City of Peoria and the Partnership for Economic Innovation to participate in the region's Smart Region Consortium. This consortium is a collaborative research and implementation partnership between the public sector, academia, industry, and civic institutions to drive the creation, advancement, and adoption of smart city technology to improve the quality of life for all our citizens and businesses that are within our communities. The consortium's objective is really to empower the greater Phoenix communities to build what we'd call the nation's largest and most connected smart region. This would bolster our local economies with smart development and policies rooted in connectivity, mobility, equity, and sustainability. Some of the stated benefits of being part of the Smart City Consortium would include ensuring that we have interoperability in technology deployment across our region, that we have reduced costs through economies for scale. So if we have projects that we can get economies of scale with, we can work on that as a region. Increase opportunity to attract and grow new technology businesses into the region, support our local startup community, and also establish a clear and regional identity around people, place, and technology. Some of the partners in this include Arizona State University, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, the Arizona Institute for Digital Progress, Maricopa Association of Governments, and currently there are 18 of the 22 Greater Phoenix metropolitan municipalities that have agreed to be part of this consortium as well. So one important note, just so you're not unclear about this, as you know, we're working with ASU on what we call the Smart Cities, what do we call that? The Smart Cities work that we're doing with the with ASU through our Project Cities group. This is different than that, although one great thing is that with ASU working with us on that and ASU being part of the Smart Cities Consortium, what we'll learn through our Project Cities program will help inform and obviously will complement any of the work that we do with the Smart City region. There is no cost for the current fiscal year. However, if we choose to continue with the consortium and have a voting right with the consortium, it's $25,000 a year, and they're requesting a 3-year commitment. That would begin in July of 2020. And with that, staff would recommend that the council approves the agreement with the Smart City Consortium.
Thank you. Council, any questions? I have a question. What exactly do you envision will be the benefit for our residents?
So what the consortium is intended to do is to create different tools and strategies with some grant funding, seed funding and grant funding. So as the region identifies some projects that would benefit the region as a whole, they would look to find ways to fund that. And obviously, if we, being hopefully a little step ahead with our Project Cities programs, we'll have a lot of ideas, I'm sure. If we can bring those to the consortium and we have the ability to work with them, then we may have some ability to get some grant funding through that. It also will help us understand what the requirements would be. So as we're looking to deploy technology to, support our efforts in trying to reduce congestion, to try to improve health and well-being of our citizens, those types of things, that we would have the ability to have a group that would also support that with interoperability so people could move through the region, companies could come in and already know what's established here and what the requirements are that we have here. So those would be some benefits, economic benefits, as well as, I think, life benefits to our citizens.
So the lights will be timed?
Lights will be timed
all the way down.
We already do a pretty good job of that, just so you know. But sure, things like that, all of the best practices that are out there for smart cities, we'd be looking to implement.
Okay. It sounds like a really positive way forward for the entire region. Thank you. Yes.
So Katie, are we budgeting $25,000 or $75,000 to pay for this? Will we do year by year or?
Right, we could do a couple of things. Typically, if we know we're doing a commitment of 3 years, they're asking for a 3-year commitment. We certainly don't have to do a 3-year commitment. We could do it on an annual basis. If we wanted to commit to 3 years, we'd look for council to approve $75,000 in the upcoming budget. If we only want to go with a 1-year commitment, 1 year at a time, then we would ask for $25,000 as one-time requests.
So what do you recommend on that?
One of the beauties of this is that we have 6 months to kind of evaluate this
Okay.
and see how we feel about the consortium, and if we feel that we're getting the value out of it and that what's coming out and working with the other cities and the other partners, that we're getting a value to that.
Okay, good, thank you.
We have a regional transit system, so there
All
cannot be
those
much
things, yes.
harm, in working regionally to improve our transit system and other issues. So council, do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Councilmember Dunn?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Right. We are going to move on to item 21R, which is City Charter Amendment Review. And we will hear this along with item 22R, Code Amendment, Chapter 4, Elections, Deemed Elected Primary and General Elections at the same time. Thank you.
Great.
Ms. Hickman.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, I think I'll just start directly on this item. So as you mentioned, I'm going to present on items 21R and 22R together, but it will require two separate council actions. So here tonight is a follow-up to our October 1st study session, where at the request of council, we have prepared possible charter amendments for referral to the Charter Review Committee. I'm also presenting on a proposed code amending ordinance, which was discussed at the same study session to clarify the intent of votes cast. So a little bit of background. Again, we held a study session with a lot of discussion on October 1st to talk about possible concepts that could become charter amendments through the process. The city charter acts as the constitution of the city, with the code as the set of laws that help enforce the Constitution and clarify the Constitution. The way to amend the city charter is by a majority vote of the qualified electors of the city. So here this evening, I propose that we review the charter amendments that we have put together based on the October 1st study session. And the council would then determine whether or not to adopt the resolution that would refer these proposed charter amendments to the Charter Review Committee. Additionally, there will be the opportunity for an action to review and make a motion on the votes cast code amending ordinance. So we'll certainly go into more detail on both of those. So let's talk about the city charter amendments first. The city charter amendments, the first proposed charter amendments is to change the number of mayoral terms. Currently, the number of mayoral terms, there are 2 terms for the mayor, 3 terms for the council members. The proposal is to provide consistency with the number of council member terms for the mayoral terms and have them all be 3 terms. So the intent is consistency across the board between mayoral terms and council member terms with 3 for all. Now, this would be prospective only and effective for the term beginning in January 2023. So the language on the right side of the screen is the language that's actually in the resolution that's part of your council packet, which would be the language that's referred to the Charter Review Committee for their analysis and contribution and input. The second item that would be a charter amendment that we discussed at the study session would be to eliminate partial terms from counting as a council term or as a term for mayor. So currently, the way the charter reads is if a person serves more than 740 days of a term, and this is for a council seat, that term does count towards a term. Now, as we discussed at the study session, the mayoral term language is a little less clear, but the language itself is likely interpreted as if it's more than 2 years, then that would also count as a term. So the intent is to eliminate partial terms so as not to penalize those who step in to fill a vacant seat. So a term would be defined as a 4-year term. Nothing less than that would count towards a term. The next item for consideration as part of the resolution to the Charter Review Committee would be a cost of living adjustment. It would be a reasonable automatic cost of living adjustment, a COLA, for the mayor and council members. It would be tied to a nationally held, a common national index, likely the consumer price index for all urban consumers, but it would be an opportunity for the Charter Review Committee to review appropriate indexes and take that time working with staff to make an appropriate recommendation. The cost of living adjustment would include a floor and a cap to ensure it's reflective of the market and consistent with the duties and responsibilities of the council member. So the Charter Review Committee would analyze what index, again, I mentioned likely the CPIU, the methodology, and the exact charter amendment language which would be necessary to accomplish this objective. To just give you a little bit more information, as you're looking at a COLA, for the last few years, the CPIU, the range, starting in 2014, it was 1.6%. Went down to 0.1% in 2015. Then fast forwarding to 2018, it was 2.4%. And to date in 2019, 1.8%. So that gives you some idea of what that rate might look like. So the intent is to adopt a reasonable cost of living adjustment to adjust for inflation. That would be automatic. The next charter amendment that's part of the resolution and was discussed at our study session was for mayor and council vacancies. Currently, the mayor and council have between 12 and 15 days to fill a vacancy on the council. That process, there are a number of steps that are required to complete that very important process. And so in looking at this, the proposal would be to increase that number of days from 12 to 15 to 20 days. Again, it's a significant process that the city must undergo to select the appointee that fills the vacant position until the canvass of votes in the special election is complete. So having 20 days to go through that process based on experience would be much more beneficial for the process and its outcome to have a little bit more time to accomplish all those steps that are necessary. The last charter amendment for discussion this evening that we've proposed is the possibility of dispensing with the primary election if there are only two candidates. So the city would there would be a general election in the mayoral and council races where two or less candidates have filed by the filing deadline. The candidate who receives the highest number of votes would then prevail. The mayor and council elections in Peoria are nonpartisan. Primary elections can be held to reduce the number of candidates going forward to the general election. So if there are two or fewer candidates, the intent is to eliminate the need to hold both a primary election and a general election for the same two candidates, or an election and a runoff election for the same two candidates. So it's an opportunity to have a straightforward, common sense process when it is a situation where there are two or fewer candidates that are in the race. So that is the fifth idea that is part of the resolution. The Charter Review Committee would review that concept and take the opportunity to go through a thorough analysis and come back to you with their input and feedback, as well as public comment with their recommendations for final language and a final process that would culminate in a charter amendment. So before I go on to the actual process of the Charter Review Committee itself and the steps going forward, since this is another substantive part of the discussion as it pertains to the ideas, I wanted to talk about the code amending ordinance that would be subject of the second vote this evening on the other agenda item. The reason is this did originate as the possibility of a charter amendment, but upon further review, it became clear that a charter amendment was not necessary in accomplishing the objectives and the intent of what I will discuss with you tonight. So the purpose of this code amending ordinance would be to clarify that votes cast means votes cast and not ballots cast. This item was also discussed at the October 1st study session. The city has interpreted votes cast language in the city charter historically as meaning ballots cast. The code was updated in 2017. The charter has said votes cast. The code said ballots cast. So in 2017, the code was amended to be consistent with the charter and say votes cast at an election. So the one that receives the majority of all votes cast shall be declared elected to the office for which he is a candidate. Just because the language in the code was changed, it did not mean the interpretation of what votes cast means has changed. So the difference between ballots cast and votes cast is very important. The votes cast would exclude ballots and other votes that are not actually cast in that race, or including overvotes. So an overvote is a vote where there are multiple votes in the same race for multiple candidates. If there are ineligible write-in candidates that are included on a ballot, those would not count. If there are what are deemed undervotes, where there's a ballot with no vote for any candidate in that race, that ballot would not count for that race. So the intent of this language we would propose amending to the code would clarify the intent is to only tabulate legal votes actually cast for legally eligible candidates in that candidate's race, and not include any of these other ballots that have overvotes or undervotes. So we would put language in the ordinance that would clarify the intent is votes cast means votes cast. So that is the goal of that code amending ordinance. So let's turn to the city charter amendment process itself. The next step, so in the city charter, in 2016, the Charter Review Committee was actually put in the city charter. Prior to that time, there was an ad hoc Charter Review Committee that was established for charter amendments at that time. During that process, they actually put the Charter Review Committee in the city charter. Nine members total, appointed by the mayor with recommendation of appointees by each council member from their district, and then the mayor to select 3 at-large members. The powers and duties as it pertains to what we're discussing this evening of the Charter Review Committee are to review the council proposed amendments to the city charter, provide input and revisions for your consideration, hold public comment meetings to obtain public input on the proposed amendments to the city charter, and then at the end of their process, recommend charter amendments consistent with the resolution we're discussing this evening and the associated rationale behind these proposed amendments back to the city council. So after the Charter Review Committee process is completed, they will refer back to council a final draft form with these charter amendments for your consideration. We will have a study session and then a final action by the council to determine which charter amendments and in what form will go to the ballot, but it will be a very thorough process, complete with public input and a lot of discussions to make sure the appropriate language is making its way to the ballot in the general election in 2020. The Charter Review Committee itself, the members have been selected, and hopefully there we go. So the members of the Charter Review Committee are on the screen here this evening. The chair will be Brad Schaefer, and the vice chair will be Jerry Johnson. Staffing the Charter Review Committee will be the Charter Review Committee support team from the city, including the city manager or his designee, the city attorney, assistant to the city manager, and the city clerk. Other department representatives will, of course, be included as necessary to make sure the needs and objectives of the Charter Review Committee can be met with all the information they need to analyze and to make decisions. The timeline. So November of 2019, as I mentioned, the Charter Review Committee members have already been selected and appointed. We're here tonight to review the Charter Amendments resolution and an opportunity for you to take action on that resolution and referring those matters to the Charter Review Committee for their consideration. Should that happen, between December and February of 2020, the Charter Review Committee will hold meetings as necessary to review the proposed charter amendments. March of 2020 is projected to be the public comment period. The proposals will be on the city website for comment. After the public comment period is closed, the Charter Review Committee will hold another meeting to review the public comments and incorporate necessary feedback and information into the proposed charter amendments. March-April timeframe will include a final report to council prepared by the committee and staff, and then a council study session on the recommendations. June 16th, 2020 is set as the date for the council meeting to call the election, so for the mayor and council to take final action on the proposed charter amendments in their final form, and again, call the election. And the deadline that we are shooting for is the November 3rd, 2020 general and citywide election. So with that background, the next steps are for you to consider adopting the resolution referring the following proposed charter amendments to the Charter Review Committee. I will just quickly go back through them because there are 5 of them to make sure we're clear on each one. The number 1 is to increase the mayoral term number from 2 terms to 3 terms, prospective only, beginning in 2023. Number 2, to eliminate partial terms from counting as a term for mayor and council, so a full 4-year term is a term. Cost of a living, an automatic cost of living adjustment for mayor and council. Council vacancies, time to fill the vacancy would increase from the current 12 to 15 days to 20 days, and no primary election if 2 or less candidates. Just hold a general election in that circumstance. The second item for your consideration, which would require a separate vote, is to determine whether you would like to adopt the ordinance amending Section 4.1 of the City Code to clarify the determination of votes cast, that it means votes cast, and for a legally eligible candidate in that race. And we eliminate consideration of ballots cast. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So if I'm understanding correctly, we're submitting, this will be a resolution that we're submitting to this committee for review. And then they will go through a process and look at what we're submitting, and then potentially come back with recommendations to change what we have submitted.
Mayor, Councilmember Bensbacher, the recommendations that they provide back to you should be consistent with your objectives set forth in the resolution. So they will provide input to you, but it should stay within the boundaries of what you're establishing this evening. So the goals and objectives that you'd like to meet are laid out in the resolution. The Charter Review Committee will go through the charter, make the proposed recommendations of what exactly needs to be changed in the charter. And if during their review they identify something that needs to be brought back to council that is slightly different from what has gone to them, that would certainly be an opportunity as part of the process. But part of their charge under the charter is to review items that are sent to them from the mayor and council for their input and comment. But the mayor and council have the final determination on what the charter amendments will look like.
So then going back to number 2, that item is actually, if I, back to that slide.
Yes.
It actually said that that would apply to current and future.
It
council
does.
members.
What we talked about during study session was, and I'm having problems with the clicker, but that it would apply as soon as the charter amendment was effective. So it would not, as currently contemplated, have an effective date of some other time in the future. It's not considered that it wouldn't apply now. We didn't really get into that level of discussion at the study session. It was a discussion of the partial terms being eliminated as terms.
Okay, so then I guess because it's going forward that way, that's what did we discuss that in the study session? I don't remember that.
Mayor, council members, the way that we discussed it at the study session, frankly, I don't recall us making a final decision of whether it should be prospective or apply to current council members. I don't really think that was exactly determined at the study session. So if your input this evening is you'd like feedback from the Charter Review Committee on whether it should be prospective, whether it should apply currently, that's certainly something that they could look at and provide recommendations back to you.
I think mainly I'm just wanting to understand whether or not they have the ability to do that. Just because it is, I'm indifferent on that. I don't think it's necessary to grandfather that, if you will. And we're not doing it on item number 1. It starts with, future mayors.
Right.
And so this just seems inconsistent with that. I wouldn't want to hold up the whole process.
Sure.
But I guess I feel compelled to, have that noted.
Absolutely, and Mayor and Council, if you would like to put that on the record this evening, that you'd like the Charter Review Committee to analyze that as part of their scope on this charter amendment item, that's certainly something that they could do, to make a recommendation back to you whether there is some date certain in the future that it should apply, and what all the pros and cons of that might be. Is it that because there are staggered terms, it might be difficult to identify a certain date because not everyone was elected at the same time, so when does that start to apply? I haven't fully thought through all of the, again, pros and cons of what that might look like, but the Charter Review Committee is a good time to do that.
Thank you.
And if I might add to that, what we did talk about in the study session was the ultimate goal of this charter amendment, and that was to make it so that when somebody decides to apply for a partial term or apply for an opening that's in our council, they are helping us, and so we don't want them to be penalized in any way. And I think that's the ultimate goal, and however the Charter Review Committee wants to accomplish that, I think we just need to look at what the, objective is.
Mayor?
Yes.
I totally support that.
Okay.
I do. I totally support that. Just the consistency in how we execute it is what I'm noting.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Binsbacher.
Any other comments on any of these? Okay. So we're going to vote on these separately, and we're going to start with 21R. And this item is discussion and possible action for City Council to review proposed amendments and revisions to the city charter and adopt Resolution 2019-133 referring proposed charter amendments to the Charter Review Committee for its review, input, and recommendations.
So move.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All right. Councilmember Dunn?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And it passes unanimously. All right. And now, item 22R. This is discussion and possible action to adopt ordinance 2019-30, amending Chapter 4, Section 4-1 of the Peoria City Code pertaining to elections, deemed elected, primary, and general elections by clarifying votes cast. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Dunn?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For all of the work on this, and we thank the Charter Review Committee in advance. And now we will move on to item 24R, Major General Plan Amendment, Plan Peoria AZ, General Plan. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And as the council knows, the general plan serves as our blueprint for so many different policy items. It's our guiding document, including for land use. And the Planning and Zoning staff, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, worked so hard to get to this point tonight to look and consider something for the voters regarding this item. And so Chris Hawkins will talk a little bit about the feedback he's received from the public and again, brief you on the action that would be needed tonight.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jeff, and good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to present the 2019 Major General Plan Amendments. As you all know, over the last few years, we've been in the process of updating our general plan, which has been occurring over the recurring annual cycle of amendments. Now, this year's amendments are extensive, and they build upon the work completed over the last few years as part of the annual cycle. So all these amendments are in furtherance of the new final general plan that will be brought before our citizens for ratification later in 2020. So for us, this is really a momentous occasion. With these proposed amendments, we now have we will have a new general plan in a near final condition for consideration. So in tonight's presentation, what I'm going to do is provide a brief summary of the highlights of the proposed amendments for this year, and then talk about the next steps after tonight, namely, if any further consideration of any refinements to the general plan before we ask the council to accept it in its final condition and then place it on the ballot for voter consideration. But before I get to the amendments, I wanted to recognize some key players in this update. First and foremost, I do want to thank the mayor and city council for your guidance and leadership and input. You may recall a few years ago, we started with council interviews, and that was an opportunity for us to understand what your priorities were, what your thoughts were for the future, and really that seeded future efforts. And so as you know, this conversation really has been evolving since that point. I'd also like to recognize the consultant team. We've been working with Matrix Design Group. They are led by Felipe Zubia, who is the project manager, Martin Scribner, who's in the audience, and Marcela Mora-Yatko. From our staff, I'd like to also recognize Lori Deaver. She's our planning manager. She is the project manager for this. Also along with her, I'd like to recognize Cody Gleason and Amanda Beck-Althworth with our staff. All three of them, there was extensive time outside of the business hours that they use to help us ensure we have a great product. So I want to recognize them as well. And then also the various boards and commissions that were involved in this process, including the livability captains that we have, and really staff throughout the organization. There's so many names I could mention, but really it's been a very extensive effort. And I think we have a great product that positions the city for the future. Oops. So how is this plan different? Input that we've received over the last few years has really coalesced into a series of themes. And so these themes include, and you see them on the screen there, community wellness. This is a sense that the quality of life is tied to our health and well-being. So from a community perspective, how do we provide the opportunities for citizens to engage in a more healthy lifestyle? This includes our offerings as a community, whether it's recreation assets or programs, but also in terms of healthy community design. So that's really folded within that theme. Placemaking, we've had a lot of discussion among the council in the last few years about that, but that's trying to create distinction in our community, and whether we do this through public spaces, arts, or entertainment, but essentially places that encourage social connectedness. Fiscal sustainability, not only being good stewards of taxpayer monies, but also moving towards a balanced community where we increasingly have the ability to work and invest within our community rather than leakage to other communities. That's a very important principle as well. Building on strategic relationships, so not only recognizing that we have a number of partners in our community, everywhere from the HOAs to our citizens to school districts, but also we have some large public landowners, namely the State Land Department, the BLM, and so all of us are really partners in collaborating in our future. And then finally, being resilient, adaptable, and forward-thinking, or as economic development puts it, forward ready. So recognizing that things evolve, right? And we have to be prepared to face new challenges. I like to think about how things have just changed in the last 10 years. They've been pretty monumental. So just imagine what they'll be like in the next 10 years. All right, so I wanted to talk about some of the highlights as part of the 2019 amendments. So the first part is there we go, reorganization of the document, which sounds a little banal, but honestly, it's really important. What we've done is the state statute requires us to address 17 required elements or topics. They include everything from land use to circulation and so forth. We've elected to address 24 topics, and so rather than having 24 individual chapters, what we thought was more helpful, more beneficial was to organize it into a series of 6 themes that coincide with council livability goals. There's a lot of overlap between the two, and so it's important to have this. What this does is it creates an alignment between council priorities and our general plan policy structure. Another item is new land use categories. So A land use category, this tells us the general character and type of land use that is desired in an area. So what would happen, as you see in past cases, we would evaluate a development proposal to how it aligned with the land use category. So an example of a land use category that we've seen in the past might be community commercial, it might be estate residential, but it tells us the desired land use for the future. Now, some of the feedback we've received from the council in the last few years is that the existing categories were perhaps too broad and perhaps did not have enough distinction between them. So you asked us to develop categories that better define the character, the land use, and the development form, or expectations of how we'd like to see the development occur, really to be more directive in the future. So to that point, we've developed brand new land use categories. We believe they're more robust descriptions and they provide some design guidance. So as we get a development proposal in, we have more information that allows us to be more directive in how we see the request complying or not complying. So on the screen, you can see an example of a couple of land use categories that are contained within the smart growth element. The next highlight is a brand new land use map. So these land use map then, we take the brand new land use categories that developed, we went mile by mile several times. And we're about a community of 250 or so square miles of planning area. So it was a long and arduous task, but very important. We also have better information today in terms of what our topography is and where our cultural resources are and so forth. So we have a much more precision to our map, but it's worth it. So I think we have a product that better responds to our needs now. Some key elements is we've spent quite a bit of time working with State Land Department in trying to refine the Loop 303 corridor to better respond to our economic development needs. We've integrated mixed-use opportunities throughout the city, so think about some of the changes that have occurred. As the retail landscape has receded in some cases, we're seeing some of the corner centers have struggle. And so what we've done is introduce mixed-use categories that enable some of those corners to then integrate residential or employment, really a mix of uses there to try to encourage the rediscovery, if you will, for lack of a better term, to that core area, rather than having areas that are simply commercial or simply residential, but allowing in certain areas to have a mix of land uses. We think that's very important. Another thing that we have that's contained within the goals and objectives is what we're calling tiered growth policies. So essentially this is policy guidance that says that we're going to promote growth where existing infrastructure is in place or where we believe infrastructure will be in place in the next phase of the development of the city. So it allows us to consider development proposals in alignment with that policy. So that would be as opposed to perhaps the term that's sometimes here, leapfrog development. So we're talking about more organic development occurring. So that's a policy that allows us to consider that. We also have brand new goals and policies for each of the topic areas. So the goals and policies, they are not only informed through the public input that we received, but we've also worked very closely with all the livability captains as far as the livability element and the teams to ensure that we're on point and that we met the objectives of those areas. So we have brand new goals and policies throughout the document there. And then finally, no less important, right? We got to make sure it meets state statute. So state statute requires a certain number of things that we have to have in our general plan, so that's a big part of it. What you see on the right is a graphic that illustrates what are those required topics that we have to meet under state statute and what are the optional topics. So on the right are the optional topics. Those are the ones that we've included within our general plan update. I think it's interesting that economic development is an optional topic. That would seem to me to be a required topic, but that of course is included within our general plan. Through the last few years, community outreach program has been extensive and widespread. We recognize that people access information in different ways increasingly, right? So we've had our process that has included your traditional workshops and open houses. We've had online surveys and actually we've gotten a lot of input through online means. And we did a survey early on and we got over 1,000 responses, some of the questions we posed. So online is increasingly an important vehicle. We had our GPAC is an advisory committee that we set up with boards and commissions and the school district. We've had project updates that we've done in front of all the boards and commissions. We've been in front of the youth board several times. We've had pop-up events throughout the community. And we've had very good exposure, we think, through the news and digital media. So we thank our Office of Communication for that, but we've been very successful there. Okay, so Part of the major general plan amendment, the state statute requires that we put it up for what's called 60-day review. And so that's just an opportunity for for agencies to comment on it or citizens to comment on it. We did receive over 46 comments. We have what we're calling an errata sheet in your packet, but essentially that is who the comment was received from, what it said, and how we've addressed that comment. So from the agency perspective, we did receive a letter from the City of Surprise. Essentially, the letter thanked us for participating, and they thanked us for continued collaboration with them. We work very closely with them to make sure we have good connections there. We also received various questions about the general plan. There were some comments about maybe some grammatical errors and typos that we found. We received preferences to certain types of restaurants and businesses that are desired in the community. Obviously, that's not really a topic for the general plan, but we certainly pass that on to our economic development department to look into. There were also comments about potential open space and trail connections throughout the city. Also transportation connections that are desired. We've also been working with some private property owners that have come to us and to talk about some land use adjustments. State Land Department was one of those. Also, what we call Bard Ranch, but property reserve, they're up in the 303 and Lone Mountain area. And most recently, we've been working with the Rowe family. They're looking at potentially master planning their property. So we've incorporated a lot of adjustments into the land use plan that you see before you tonight, but we recognize that going forward, prospectively, as we work with state land, there may be some future refinements that we do as we continue to work together, and certainly with the Rowe family, as we explore their potential master planning, there might be some future refinements as well. So I just wanted to note those for the record there. So finally, this item did go before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They're required under statute to have 2 hearings, one off-site, one on-site. And so after deliberation, they did vote 5-0 to recommend approval of this request, subject to the findings that you see on the screen there. So I wanted to pause before I go to the final recommendation tonight and just talk about the future here. So tonight, we're asking for action on the 2019 major general plan amendments, but we understand that, at this point, we're not sure what ballot item we want to put it on, whether it's August ballot or the November ballot. That's a conversation that is occurring right now, right? So what I'm trying to illustrate on the screen there is the area in blue that corresponds to the August ballot issue, and the areas in orange corresponds to the November ballot issue. So essentially, after tonight, there might be some final refinements that we might want to consider. There might be some little cleanup items, and so we're suggesting that we would look at those through a minor general plan amendment process. We would bring those to the council, ask for your action on that. And then a month later, we would then ask the council for 2 actions, and that is 1, to approve the general plan in its final form, and then 2, to formally place the general plan on the ballot that's selected. So that's how we see this process carrying forward to a vote there. And then finally, my last slide on the screen here is our recommendation. Our recommendation is to concur with the Planning and Zoning Commission and adopt this resolution. I do want to point out in yellow, the state statute does require that if the council sees fit to vote for this amendment, it does require a majority of at least 2/3 of the council, or at least 5 members of this body here. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you and your staff for all of the work that has gone into this for such a long period of time. I know that it was tremendous, and there was larger changes to this general plan than I have ever seen. And I personally am really, really pleased with the new land use categories and allowing for much more refinement as we move forward. I think it's so important for the way our city is going to develop. So congratulations on the great work and the great amount of work that you have done on this. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Council, are there any other comments? Ditto. We heard ditto. I also would like to make a comment with regards to this going on to the ballot. The November election is when the general population votes. And this really needs to go before the largest population of our city so that all of our citizens have a chance to have their voice heard with regards to the future of the the development of the city of Peoria. And so I'm going to, be looking forward to this going on the November ballot instead of just, a primary where we're talking about parties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And so with that, council, any further comments? So, Councilmember Dunn?
No.
No comments?
No
Okay.
comment.
All right. So, this is discussion and possible action to concur with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation to adopt Resolution 2019-134, approving the comprehensive update of the Peoria General Plan in preparation for voter ratification in 2020, and to assure the plan remains consistent with the overarching goals of the city. And I did want to also address that. You taking the council goals and the council livability goals into consideration in every bit of this development is really, really meaningful, especially as we move forward, placemaking and gathering places for our citizens. It will really create an environment that is conducive to our residents getting to know each other and really continuing to keep a neighborly city like we have right now. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. Councilmember Dunn?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
vote yes.
Thank you. And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, the next item is call to the public on non-agenda items. I have not received any speaker request forms. Is there any members of the public who would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we will move on to reports from city manager. Mr. Tyne.
Great, thank you, Mayor and Council, appreciate this. A couple items, but really before I go into the formal items, I wanted to just recognize one of just our outstanding employees who will be leaving us. After nearly 8 years at the city of Peoria, our parks manager, Jake Easom, is relocating back to his native Austin, Texas region. Jake has made an indelible mark here in the Peoria community. His work in the planning of the new Paloma Community Park, his efforts with renovations to all of our neighborhood parks, improvements to our irrigation system, and even the Veterans Wall and his work on that have been just have an immense amount. But even more is his mark as a servant leader to all of his staff. That's something that we'll always remember with Jake, and really something he epitomizes. And we just want to say thank you so much, Jake, for all that you provided to this Peoria community. I want to say that personally. With that, I also want to go next to the first time we had, which is really just a recognition of the many hats that some of our City of Peoria employees take on. As we talk often is that there's so many different roles that we have to play, and many of those are outside of our traditional function. And we have a great story to talk of, an example of our public employees here tonight that went above and beyond their traditional work. And so as you can see, Fire Chief Bobby Reese is here to have special recognition for 3 of our city staff who I see here in the Public Works Streets Division, Timothy Glenn, Shane Hampton, and Juan Areola. So Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyne. If I can have Kim and Burt come up here with his members, appreciate it very much. Mayor and Council, it's with great honor that I recognize the following members from Public Works, Juan Areolas, Timothy Glenn, and Shane Hampton. Come on up here and and you can hand it to the appropriate members. But this is recognition for your swift and responsive action during a life-threatening emergency. On October 24th, while driving onto Las Palmaritas Drive, you and your coworkers noticed flames coming from a house and immediately stopped and yelled fire, something I always wanted to do. With flames up to the roof from a burning wooden gate and debris, you grabbed a garden hose to help extinguish the fire. With the team effort of your coworkers, you were able to apply water continuously until the fire department arrived. Your actions saved more than extensive damage to the home and the safety of the homeowner. It is for these reasons that the Peoria Fire Medical Department hereby presents you with a letter of recognition presented this 12th day of November 2019. Thank you and congratulations.
Great. Thank you, Chief, and thank you all. That, just to go above and beyond on that in that moment is something that is just so telling. So thank you all for your bravery during that event. Next, we do have a 2-minute video highlighting 2 upcoming events here in the city, the Second Saturdays event and the Old Town Holiday Festival, both happening on December 14th here in Old Town. And of course, both those events really, when attending, give that sense of energy and that sense of community that we all strive for. It just really encapsulates what we're looking for in our special events. But thank you, Council. That is all I have.
Oh, thank you. We will now move on to Youth Council Liaison Greathouse.
Last week, the Youth Advisory Board voted to approve our revised bylaws, and those soon will be coming to the council to then approve. We also continued our work from the West Valley Youth Leadership Conference regarding mental health. Each youth council took on a task, and our task was to research and discuss ways to dissolve the stigma around mental health. And I'm really looking forward to this. Mental health is something our youth board is really passionate about. I think we're going to do good work with the collaboration with the other councils. And that's all.
I am sure you're going to do good work. Councilmember Patena.
Thank you, Mayor. So this time of year, all the council gets busy with all types of events. And I have several that I've done since the last council meeting. I won't bore you with the details. I'll go over them very quickly. So on Friday, October 25th, myself and a mayor attended the Lakes Ballroom grand opening in Westbrook Village. They spent over $1 million revamping that facility. It's just really gorgeous. We were there for the Dueling Pianos event, and I think they had about 500 people, so it was really well done. On Saturday, October 26th, I attended the Park Ridge Annual HOA meeting. I had a chance to update this HOA on what's going on in the city of Peoria and give them some good information. Monday, October 28th, we had a friendship bench dedication at Desert Harbor. I got a note today from the principal saying that bench is used daily. Happy about that. October 31st, I attended the homeless outreach event, Rio Vista. I want to talk about this just a little bit. I spent about an hour and a half there, and there was 8 to 10 police officers there, and the whole time I was there, there was a line of homeless people waiting outside to check in. That's a much different story than the first time we had this event. Most of them were skeptical about coming in, the homeless I'm talking about, because there were police officers present. Well, that's all changed. There's no more fear of police officers, and the police officers I talked to said, we're not here to arrest anybody, we're here to help them. And I think the homeless people knew that, and knows that. They had showers there, they were giving haircuts, there was 28 not-for-profits present that day to help the homeless population. It's quite an amazing event that goes on, that's put on by the police. Thursday, October 31st, I had the privilege of serving lunch to the City of Peoria employee for their appreciation event, always a nice event. Sunday, November 3rd, I played in the Special Olympics charity golf tournament. Mayor, you might want to know that Team Peoria came in first. And by the way, Michael, we didn't cheat.
I've been waiting to hear those results. Thank you.
So Anthony Alejandro and Andy Granger and my son and myself were on the team. When you have Anthony on the team and Andy on the team, you're kind of expected to win. But you notice I didn't mention my name in that. Thursday, November 7th, we had a Veterans Day ceremony at Desert Harbor. Really nice event. The kids put on a great event. The band was playing, the choir sang. It was, and several veterans attended. On Thursday, November 7th, I attended along with several council members and the mayor the Westmark's 27th annual Best of the West Awards. City of Peoria was the winner of the West Valley Excellence in Innovation. And by the way, we beat out Arizona State. That's really a big deal, I think. On Friday, November 8th, I attended the Veterans Day ceremony at West Wing Elementary School. Just an amazing thing what these kids put on for our veterans. They had motorcycles there. Peoria Fire showed up. We had a flyover. It was just a great event. The kids sang and the band played and a lot of good speeches. Monday, November 11th, the City of Peoria Veterans Day ceremony at Rio Vista Park. Had about 200 people there. Mayor gave a great speech. It was a really nice event for our veterans. And on Monday, November 11th, the Peoria Chamber of Commerce Veterans Day event at Arrowhead Valley Retirement Resort. I attended that with the mayor. It was a nice event. They had a barbecue for us. I'm having a shred event on November 15th from 8 to 10 at 19281 Northwest Brook Parkway. So if you have anything to be destroyed, that's the place you want to bring it. Good luck to Jake Eason. I've known Jake for a while. Great employee, and he'll certainly be missed. And congratulations to our public works staff for their quick actions. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Finn.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I yielded most of my time to Mr. Patena, so I'm going to be brief. I believe this is our last meeting before the next year, so all I really want to say is thank you to every employee in this city, to all of the staff, to the citizens for making this the best city in state of Arizona, I'd argue, in the country. So I just want to say thank you. Have a phenomenal holiday season, and we will see you all next year.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to, under pressure, be quick and say that also happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I also, again, want to reiterate, thank you so much for all of the work on the general plan. As a representative of a district that has so much development yet to occur, I'm so proud of the city's commitment, this mayor and council's commitment to moving forward with this and creating who we are going to be. It's just a very, very important work for a growing city. I want to also congratulate the Public Works team for just, stepping into action and making something happen. That's really remarkable. Jake has been a tremendous asset to the city of Peoria. He will be missed, and I wish him well, wish him the best of luck. Our loss, for sure. I think that's all I have. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I have several things. First of all, we heard three really dynamic presentations tonight. We heard several, but three that stand out in my mind. The general plan amendments, which, thank you, Chris, I know, where'd you go? There you are, have taken hours and hours, more than any of us can imagine, from your staff, and thank you for your leadership in that. The charter amendments, I know we have a committee that's just getting ready to go to work, but we've already done a lot of work on that. And then the research and all that's gone into our signature event that you'll be hearing more about. I'm just really kind of impressed, I guess you'd say, blown away almost, with the amount of work that is done behind the scenes every day from 7 to 6 by our staff. We don't sing their praises often enough, and we don't see them often enough. We see their leaders, and that's great. But I just want to express to anybody that might be listening, we do know the work that you do, and it's amazing. And I especially like the boards that have community members on it. Jerry, I know you're serving again, and Mike, some of you just come back and come back and come back to serve, and you're taking your time to do that. And just know that it's very, very appreciated, and our city wouldn't be what it is without all of this work. A couple of weekends ago on Saturday, I had just a special event that I thought of because I wanted to thank a certain group of people in my district, and it's called Varney Village, and it's 19 habitat homes that were built around a cul-de-sac. They're 11 years old. They have just been the nicest group of people. It's just a really exceptional group, and I just wanted to have a little celebration there for them. So thank you, Peoria Fire, although I will say you send your grunts, you send your guys that are hoping to get on the fire department, but they're great, they're working at it. And they
She did not
cooked-
mean to say grunts.
Oh, is that about that? Whatever they are. They're great, and they
Great,
cook
that's
great hot dogs.
That's it.
And we had Wham provided an art activity for the kids. We had a bounce house. We had community services out there to give them any brochures if they needed anything. But they have an HOA there just for those 19 homes. And I want to congratulate them as residents of Peoria, and I want to really thank the staff who took that whole Saturday morning to go out and help celebrate them. Second Saturday, gosh, I don't know what else to say about that. You just got a teeny little glimpse of it there. You have to come out. It's hard to count because there's no gate, and they fluctuate and move around, and people come and people go. But we think we had about 1,000 people coming and going and enjoying the fresh air Saturday night, different intimate settings. I think Mary Lou called the experience kind of a date night. Children are welcome, but it's more of a date night. A lot of couples, a lot of foursomes, two couples together to eat. There was a huge, long family table that doubled from the second Saturday to the second one. And there are 2 of those for the pop-up dinner parties. Great music, great art. If you didn't, and now the third one will be a very different event, a very different experience because it's being coupled with our holiday festival. So even the second Saturday part will have a lot of kids components to it. But just come out and support what we're doing, what we're trying to bring people and activity and livelihood to Old Town. And we have a lot of new businesses down there too. I think we have a new wall painted as you go down 85th Avenue where the county apartments are. Our city has painted the wall around there. It had a lot of graffiti, pockmarks, and so on. So it looks great now. And we have found that when we clean up a wall like that, it stays. They don't come back and put graffiti on it. So it's just another step in cleaning up our environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dunn, did you have any comments?
Just a few. I just wanted to share with everybody that the Park Fest that we had at Country Meadows was a great success for the community. Everybody really enjoyed themselves, and it was nice to see a good turnout. We also had our first Citizens Advisory Committee, and that was a great turnout, a lot of good input to help with some of the things going on in the city. And then last but not least, I really wanted to thank all our veterans. Yesterday was a fantastic celebration and opening of the Rio Vista, the ribbon cutting. So anyways, and tonight for the Be Kind, I want to remind everybody that's so important. Be kind to one another. Have a good night.
Thank you, and we hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Youth Council Liaison Ravindran.
Last week at our meeting, the youth board discussed the parking situation at Liberty High School and ways in which we could accommodate the students. We also established subcommittees and discussed the roles and expectations of those subcommittees.
Good. Thank you. Okay, and I just want to reiterate the congratulations for the City of Peoria and specifically our Economic Development Department for the Best of the West Award. This was for innovation, and it was given for the city's concierge program, which really surrounds all of the ways that we support our small businesses. So I would like to invite our Director of Economic Development to come to the front and speak a little bit about that.
Our city manager's going to pose with the trophy there.
As well he should. Look at that, it's so beautiful, it's a work of art.
Yeah, and it's heavy, I don't think it's going to blow away. So, Mayor and Council, awards like this, you know, there's a lot of credit that goes around, there's a lot of people involved in it, but about a year ago, you as a council gave city management and our department clear policy direction that said, we want excellent customer service for our businesses. So what you see tonight and what we awarded last Thursday, I believe, is a result of that policy follow through. So a lot of credit goes to the council to say, go out and get this, make this happen. The concierge program is just part of a comprehensive customer service program that we call Empowers. In our upcoming council retreats, we'll be talking more about all the elements. But there's a lot of players in this. There's ASU Peoria Forward program. There's the Small Business Development Corporation, SBDC for short, which is the innovation here is it's the first city that they've ever contracted with. They usually do it through community colleges. Our Economic Development Advisory Board ambassadors are part of this comprehensive program, Chamber of Commerce, and you know, our fellow team members within the city. So the intricacy and the importance of working with the departments like planning, development services, finance, we saw Citizen Serve with the business licensing program. That's all of us working together. In our department, we have a saying that we work independently but not alone. But I do want to, we have lead roles, and one person I really want to recognize is a person that led the concierge program. About a year ago when we started this, you know, I know Jeff and Katie and I sat down and said, let's kick this off. And we think Karen Kalivas is the right person to lead it. That wasn't just the right call, it was a great call, because she's not just done a good job, she's highly excelled in it. And I really want to publicly recognize her for her great work. In our work that's not done, it continues. She was in my office today, we're talking about some other issues, and I noticed she had 2 pages of other ideas she has. And it's like, I think we need to schedule another meeting to go over that. So thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership and the policy direction, and that's it. Thank you.
Congratulations. And please congratulate Karen for us and all of your staff. Hey, Karen. And as we inch up on Thanksgiving, amazingly enough, it's almost the end of the year. I just want to say how grateful I am to be part of this amazing city of Peoria. I just could not ask for anything better than the staff that we have, the council that we have, and the goals that we're able to accomplish every single year for our citizens. So we are truly blessed. And with that, we are adjourned.